S&P 500 was up 37 points. The NASDAQ was up 196 points. From the Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, I'm Anthony Priester.
All right, here's an interesting philosophical question. Is it possible to simultaneously overreact and underreact to the exact same event? I would posit that it is, because that is exactly what's going on following last night's Democrat sweep of the off-year elections. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. You want to join us? 414-799-1130 on our adventnews.com talk and text line. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. Follow me on social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We are everywhere, and we are streaming live via the Dan O'Cam. Watch the show streaming, and please be sure to subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast so you get episodes delivered to you each and every day on your iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Yes, Democrats swept everything there was to sweep. The communists won in New York City. Democrats won in Virginia and New Jersey gubernatorial races 4 years after Republicans completed a clean sweep in Virginia. Democrats did the same, even getting a win for the Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones, who in 2022 wished his political opponents and their children dead. Yes, those are all Democrat states. Yes, New York City is one of the most pro-communist places in the United States. So you can't overreact to those results if you're a conservative or if you're a liberal celebrating this morning. I will remind you, liberals, that today is a very important anniversary. It is 1 year since the tears started falling again, 1 year since President Trump completed the most impossible political comeback in American history and won the presidential election. We will discuss that in the Daily Trump Date. President Trump making a big speech in Miami at the American Business Forum to mark 1 year since his historic election. So you can't really overreact to Democrats winning in Democrat states. But you also can't underreact because, as President Trump himself said, this was a bad night for Republicans. And we are now less than a year away from the 2026 midterms. Here in Wisconsin, we are actually just a couple of months away from a very important state Supreme Court race. And folks, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The situation on the ground does not exactly foster a whole lot of confidence that Republicans will be able to win here next year. But I am telling you, there are distinct lessons that you can learn from last night's election loss. And if Republicans learn them, they can, I think, mitigate the damage and can actually pull off wins in states like Wisconsin. We will get to all of that on a jam-packed show today. Before we dive right in, time for the Fall Fortune Cash Contest. And the word this hour is dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R, dollar. You have got until 55 past the hour. That is 3:55 p.m. to go to our website and enter the keyword dollar to enter the contest for this hour. If your entry is picked at random, 1,000 of those dollars in your pocket. However, if you're listening to us in New York City, probably 955 of those dollars will go to the new socialist government headed by actual communist Zoran Mamdani. Now, his supporters will say, Dan, he's not an actual communist. He's a democratic socialist, just like AOC, just like Bernie Sanders, just like New York Mayor Bill de Blasio before him. Okay, then why did he open up his victory speech last night by quoting noted communist Eugene V. Debs?
As Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity.
Well, I can see the dawn of a whole lot of failure of high in the sky, pie in the sky, utopian policies in New York City. But Mamdani went on to shout out his coalition of working people, immigrants all, who propelled him to victory.
Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties.
That, of course, was a reference to his obvious lie about his auntie being scared to wear her hijab after 9/11. His auntie, of course, the true victim of 9/11 in New York. Notice he did not say any Irish Americans, any Italians, Germans, Polish people. Nope. His coalition is most assuredly not those people. Only it was. Do you know the single strongest voting demographic that showed up for Zohran Mamdani? It was, in fact, white college-educated women between the ages of 18 and 29. Women as a whole, according to exit polls, voted 84% in that age demographic. 84% for Zohran Mamdani and just 12% for Andrew Cuomo. Now, for those saying that if just Curtis Sliwa would have gotten out of the race, Mamdani would have gone down to defeat, that is simply not true. Mamdani's coalition was simply far, far too strong. There is not a one-to-one of Curtis Sliwa voter would naturally go over to Andrew Cuomo if, in fact, Sliwa would have dropped out of the race. It didn't help that Sliwa was in the race, but I think, as I said yesterday in previewing these elections, New York was always sort of fated to go communist. Now, why did Mamdani focus so much on the Uzbeki line cooks and the Ethiopian aunties and every stereotype that he could possibly think of? Seriously, is there a more racist person in America than a radical leftist? You notice he didn't talk about Uzbeki lawyers or Ethiopian doctors.
Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties.
Sorry, you Trinidadians in New York City. Zohran only thinks of you as line cooks. But here's the thing. That none of these champagne socialists and Nepo babies like Zohran Mamdani very clearly is. This is not a man of the people. He grew up very wealthy. His mother and father are both very high income earners. His father is a university professor. His mother is a filmmaker. The guy spent most of his adult life trying to make it as a rapper, for goodness sakes. And this wasn't exactly Eminem from 8 Mile trying to make it in the projects by winning rap battles. This was a guy who was putting out raps on TikToks. But here's the thing. According to exit polls, and this is the phenomenal thing about modern American socialism, or in this case, open communism, it does not appeal to actual working people. If you break down exit polling, and exit polling can be all over the place, but this is well in line with pretty much every poll that we have seen in recent history about about far left candidates. They no longer appeal to people with lower education levels who presumably would make up more of a blue-collar working class voter base. Among those who never attended college, this is actually one of the larger demographics in voting in New York City. 20% of voters never attended college. They had a high school degree. Maybe they didn't finish high school. They went for Cuomo, 47% to 39%. How about those who attended college but did not finish, did not get a degree? They went for Cuomo 48% to 40%. Now, you would presume that those who either attended college and didn't finish or never attended college, that would be your workers who are rising up for Zohran Mamdani. That's the line cooks. That's the taxi drivers. These are the working class people who are going to foment La Revolucion in New York behind Comrade Mamdani, right? Behind El Presidente Mamdani. No, they didn't, because they understand in a very real sense, unlike their more educated peers, how devastating economically socialism and communism actually are. For those who achieved an associate's degree, i.e. a 2-year degree or something like that, that was just 8% of the electorate. Still there, you are seeing Andrew Cuomo with 48% and 45% for Mamdani. So even those who are a little higher up on the educational scale, you are seeing people also who are likely to be more working class. And folks, before you get insulted and you say, hey, Dan, I never went to college and I have an incredibly successful plumbing business or something like that. I went into the trades. I went into the military. I'm incredibly successful. I know, folks. What I am saying is the fact that you're listening to me is making my point that you are all conservatives because you have real world common sense understanding of how economics actually work, unlike the people with bachelor's degrees who went 57% to 37% for Zohran Mamdani. How about those with advanced degrees? They made up 27% of the electorate last night, 57% to 37%, an identical percentage for Zohran Mamdani. Those are the people, the higher income earners, the highly educated, the bourgeoisie that Zohran Mamdani claims to hate so much are actually the people who voted for him. So why did he talk about all of the foreigners and specifically exclude white people, just regular old white people? Because while nobody was asking in exit polls about just how many foreign-born people actually voted for Zohran Mamdani, and they didn't ask, my guess is because they didn't actually want to know the results. But you can sort of infer who is foreign born and who is a native New Yorker or who is American born from this question. How long have you lived in New York City? People who were born in New York City, this is 47%, almost half of the people who voted in New York last night, went 45% to 34% for Andrew Cuomo. They also went 17% for the Republican Curtis Sliwa. So we have got 61% of the vote, nearly 2/3 of native-born New Yorkers, people who are born in New York, they lived there their entire life, they are voting against the communists. How about people who have been here for less than 5 years? And it's weird, less than 5 years sort of coincides with, I don't know, a massive influx of both legal and illegal immigrants into the country under Joe Biden. And what's the city that has been home to an insane number of immigrants since its inception? Why, the city with Lady Liberty, of course, New York. They went, are you ready for this? People who have lived in New York City for less than 5 years. This is just 6% of the electorate, which actually tracks with the number of immigrants, recent immigrants to this country. 83% of them voted for Zohran Mamdani. Those who have been in New York 5 to 10 years, an additional 8% of the voting base. 76% went for Zohran Mamdani. In fact, the longer you lived in New York, the less likely, far less likely you are to vote for Mamdani. You've lived here 10 plus years, but you were not born in New York City. 54% go to Mamdani, 38% for Andrew Cuomo, a negligible percentage goes for Curtis Sliwa. My point in all of this is that socialism and openly radically left-wing government ownership arguments are not actually being aimed at people anymore who are economically middle or lower class. Those people are more likely to be conservative or at least be extremely skeptical of left-wing socialism. The people who are actually embracing the BS are ironically the people who should have been learning in college or in graduate school that socialism has failed. Communism has failed every single place it has been tried. The point in all of this, though, is to try to appeal to that racial demagoguery, to appeal to the idea that we are not all one people. New York was always known as the center of the world, a cultural melting pot, where people would come and they would keep their ethnic or racial identities, but they would also contribute to a bustling metropolis that took from every culture and made it completely uniquely American. Now, people like Zohran Mamdani and pretty much every left-winger in the Democratic Party doesn't want that. They want you not to be an Uzbeki American or an Ethiopian American, but an Uzbeki who happens to be in America, an Ethiopian who happens to be in America. And the message is always that you are not oppressed economically, because it's very, very difficult to make the case to somebody who risked life and limb to get to the United States legally or illegally, who uprooted their entire lives to come here for the promise of a better future for themselves and their families, that America is just so horrible. It's this capitalist hellscape, and therefore you need to vote for the collectivists to solve all your economic woes. A lot of these people don't have economic woes, the likes of which they had in the places that they fled, so you need to pitch them on racial politics. You need to pitch them on the idea that white people, especially heterosexual Christian white people, are your enemy, and that the socialists are going to be the ones to protect you from the new ruling class, the new bourgeoisie, and those are the whites. Zohran Mamdani perfectly captured the left-wing zeitgeist that has never really left the Democrat Party from the bad old days of 2020 and the George Floyd summer of love. This is all about racial politics. And do you know the people who are falling for it the hardest? Ironically enough, it is not the supposedly oppressed racial minorities. It is left-wing, college-educated white women. We'll get into that when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns in just 3 minutes.
We all know the importance of good daily habits, whether it's getting your steps in, stretching those limbs, or eating right. Doing it on the regular is key. That's why if you're dealing with everyday aches and pain, it's time to bring Relief Factor into your routine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a special formula of 4 natural ingredients. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So call 1-800-4-RELIEF and try their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Simply call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, don't let it keep you from living the life you want. Make Relief Factor part of your daily routine. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Dan O'Donnell here for my good friends at Mander Collision and Glass, the only place I've trusted my vehicles with for years now. Their customer service is impeccable, and their workmanship is so good, they guarantee it for life. But don't just take my word for it. Here's a 5-star review from Alana. Mander was amazing. From Noel at the front desk to Nikki, who helped coordinate my insurance and repairs, I could not have had a better experience. My 2021 Subaru Forester looks brand new. I honestly don't think I've had this great of a customer service experience in my life. I'll refer anyone and everyone to Mander if they ever find themselves in a bind. Thank you so much. No, thank you, Alana, for helping me spread the word about just how great Mander is. Wherever you are in the greater Milwaukee and Waukesha area, there's a service center near you. So start your repair now at mandercollision.com.
Business owners, want to sell your business? At Lake Country Advisors, our team will meet with you face-to-face and will answer all your questions confidentially. Visit lakecountryadvisors.com and schedule a free consultation. Local, experienced, and trusted. We are Lake Country Advisors.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. If you're living with a chronic condition like diabetes, chronic heart failure, or a cardiovascular disorder, you might count on extra support with your healthcare too. That's why United Healthcare offers chronic special needs plans with extra benefits and a large provider network to choose from. Visit uhc.com/Medicare to find out if you qualify today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Wisconsin can count on. Provider network may vary in local market.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties.
You know the ultimate irony of that? The only people who are buying that BS are liberal white women, typically between the ages of 18 and 29. In fact, in all three major elections, gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and Virginia, and of course you heard Zohran Mamdani there, the mayoral election in New York, women aged 18 to 29 voted between 75% and 84% for the most left-wing candidate. Just focusing on the mayoral election in New York, women 18 to 29, who made up just 6% of the electorate, voted 84% for Mamdani, just 12% for Andrew Cuomo. Women aged 30 to 44, 14% of the electorate, they voted 65% for Zohran Mamdani. It seems as though I've been rather hard on old boomer libs lately, but it seems as though women 45 to 64 and women 65 plus understand, I think after decades of living through the Cold War, how bad communism actually is. Women 65 plus voted 57% to just 35% for Andrew Cuomo. Now, I want you to take a look at in New Jersey. In New Jersey, where Mikey Sherrill defeated Jack Ciattarelli to win the gubernatorial race, we see the exact same thing. Women 18 to 29, 81% for Sherrill. Women 30 to 44, 71% for Sherrill. Once you start getting older again, you start to see that breakdown. Men, by the way, they are voting Republican. We have a massive gender gap in this country, especially with women 18 to 29. I think the only reasonable solution, of course, is to take away women's right to vote. They have proven themselves over the past century irresponsible with it. We'll still let you drive, ladies, but you don't have the. I'm kidding, of course. Watch this be a massive scandal for weeks in the Journal Sentinel. I'm kidding, rather obviously. I'm kidding. Women 18 to 29 in the Virginia gubernatorial race, 81%. Abigail Spanberger for the Republican Winsome Earl Series, just 19%. Same thing, 71% women, 30 to 44. Here's the one that's really disturbing. Jay Jones, who became a national figure when it was revealed shortly after Charlie Kirk's assassination that in 2022, he was sending texts to Republicans saying that the then Speaker of the Virginia House of Representatives, a Republican, deserved to die. He wanted to see him dead, and he also wanted to see the poor man's children dead because I guess Jay Jones is a psychopath. 76% of women 18 to 29 voted for him. 65% of women 30 to 44. A couple of days ago, Fox News on the Harris Faulkner program did a focus group with New York voters. They just picked random people off the street. And I want you to listen to Amanda, who seems like she would be on the older edge of the 30 to 44 demographic. I have no idea how old she is. Just looking at her, I'm going to go mid-40s, maybe a little bit older. I want you to listen very carefully to what it is she cares about and how I want you to think it is possible to ever reason with someone who has these as their top priorities.
I think what's really important and standing out for me right now is if we can take ourselves like a high level, like not say immigration, not say economy, not say all the hot talking points, and just ask ourselves, how are we treating our neighbors? Like, how are we treating one another? And is it okay that yesterday on Saturday, 42 million of our neighbors no longer can feed themselves? It is okay. Is it okay that our neighbors are getting taken off the streets by ICE? Is it okay that gender affirming care is being taken from young people who really need it to survive? Is it okay that the Supreme Court has now justified racial profiling? That's not how I want to treat my neighbor.
So let's gloss over the issues that don't really matter to anybody, like, the economy. And let's focus on the stuff that really matters, whether we can lob the penises off of 14-year-old boys. That's what matters to Amanda. Now, I want you to think about the fact that there are millions of Amandas who vote. There are millions of Amandas in swing states, and all of those Amandas have been fully radicalized by the pap that people like Zohran Mamdani are spewing. Your Venezuelan line cook or whoever he was name dropping in his speech are tuning him out because they say, Senor, we fled that. We think you're a crazy person. You want another stat, by the way, while we're talking about lobbing the penises off of 14-year-olds? 86% of New Yorkers do not identify as LGBTQIA plus minus ampersand exclamation point. 14% do. Among those 86%, Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo were tied. I want you to think about who overwhelmingly won for Zohran Mamdani. People who once again feel oppressed, not economically, because economic socialism and pure communism, Marxism in its economic basis, makes absolutely no sense in the United States of America because everybody, relatively speaking to everywhere else on the rest of the world, is so phenomenally wealthy. You are wealthier, regardless of who you are. The fact that you are listening to me right now on a magical device that is either beaming radio waves right to you in your car, or maybe on this magical little thing that you hold in your pocket every single minute of every single day that contains the sum total of all of humanity's knowledge. We are wealthier than every king who ever lived before us. Mansa Musa was considered the wealthiest man on earth. He was an African king. He took a trip to Mecca with something like 60,000 people in his retinue. He is a fraction of as wealthy as the person who is on food stamps right now. Why? Because, well, Mansa Musa died of disease on the trip back from Mecca. We have medical care, and yes, it is available to all Americans. It is called emergency care, and no, healthcare is not a right. Healthcare is a product, but it's a product that we are wealthy enough to provide to everybody in this country. You can't make an economic socialist argument. You can't. They can try. They can say, well, billionaires and millionaires are taking all of your hard-earned money. Now, you'll notice that Bernie Sanders stopped including millionaires in his talking points when he himself became a millionaire. I will once again use this opportunity to call for Mr. Senator Sanders to give me one of his 3 houses, which would make us even. He has 3 houses. I have 1 house. If he does not, I will be forced to presume that he doesn't actually practice what he preaches. In fact, Mamdani himself lived a life of privilege. Yes, he is an immigrant to this country from Uganda. Guess why he came to the United States from Uganda when he was very, very young? I believe 6 years old. He came to this country because his parents understood that America was the place where dreams come true. Why? Because we have socialism that distributes wealth evenly to all people? No, because they were very well educated. They were very talented. They're very intelligent. And they realized that America is the place that you can go to make your dreams come true based on how smart you are, how hardworking you are, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to risk to make those dreams come true. That's capitalism, folks. But when you're able to put the Marxist spin on racial identity politics and claim that you'll never actually get ahead, you might think you're getting ahead because, well, you're making $150,000, you've got a really nice apartment, and you've got a great girlfriend, and you've got a family that loves you. You will never actually be able to seize institutional power in this country because of those white people that are constantly keeping you down. And make no mistake, that is the message that is sent. The message that has been sent to liberal white women is that you will never be able to be free because a man is always going to decide about what? Your bodily autonomy, your right to kill the children who are living inside you. They successfully turned a single issue, abortion, into a weaponized bludgeon, into a political dagger that they have been using to knife Republicans ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned. That was the seminal moment, I think, for liberal white women. They never much liked Donald Trump, but Roe v. Wade was the thing that put them far left. That's ultimately what this is. And this is a big, big problem for Republicans because we have to win elections, folks, without Trump on the ballot. Donald Trump is going to go down in history as one of the most transformative figures in the history of not just this country, but the world. And now he's gone. Electorally speaking, he obviously is president for another 3.25 years, but he's not going to be on the ballot. He is not going to be walking down or coming down the escalator to galvanize all of the people who do respond to these populist arguments, whether it's economic populism that Trump was talking about, whether it's America First national populism and restoring pride in America that first catapulted President Trump to the political stratosphere, or whether it's this racial demagoguery, us versus them, minority, race, and gender and sexuality proletariat versus white, male, heterosexual Christian bourgeoisie, oppressors versus oppressed. It is an incredibly powerful politics. But ultimately, at its core, Democrats still are saddled with communism, and leave it to President Trump to come up with the perfect slogan to lead us into 2026 and beyond. We'll get to that next.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
B97.3 has flipped the switch and is now Milwaukee's home for the holidays.
All your Christmas favorites all season long.
Oh, there's no place like home for the holidays. 'Cause no matter how far
Milwaukee's home for the holidays. holidays. B97.3.
You've held on to that old jewelry for years. Maybe it was a class ring, a broken chain, or a silver flatware from your parents' home. It meant something once, and it still does. But now it could mean something new. A chance to turn those tucked away treasures into real value at Robert Hack Diamonds. With gold at an all-time high, there's never been a better time to bring in your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds. At Robert Hack Diamonds, you'll sit down one-on-one in a relaxed, respectful setting. They'll walk you through your items carefully, from coins and jewelry to sterling tea sets and even dental gold, and make you a fair, honest cash offer. No pressure, just real people who understand that sometimes it's more than metal, it's memories. If in doubt, bring it in. You might be surprised at what it's worth. 64 plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. It's not just about gold, it's about trust. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
I'm Dan Voss from Cut and Go. Ugly and depressing and trees killed off by emerald ash, oak wilt, and Dutch elm disease are dangerous for friends and loved ones, even a potential liability. Slowly rotting, left-standing hardwood trees can weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Even seemingly smaller branches can weigh tens, even hundreds of pounds. With Cut and Go, there is no reason to risk injury or property damage. Live trees in precarious placement for an arborist to remove over homes, garages, commercial buildings, luxury landscapes are easily and safely laid on the ground by Cut and Go's NCCER crane-operated certified remote control automobile mounted articulating crane grapple saw operators. You can save big money and stock up on firewood by having Cut and Go put your trees on the ground for you to clean up or have a bonfire or split firewood. Or we can take it all with us when we leave. A Tons of Trees movement. Cut and Go trees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com. Once again, that's cutandgotrees.com.
It's 5 words no one wants to hear. You need a new roof. Oh boy, who do you call? How are you going to pay for it? Hi, it's Jay, and these are all questions that run through people's minds when they hear those 5 words. But if you pick up the phone and call Semperfi Roofing, your new roof will be the easiest, most hassle-free home improvement project you'll do. Semperfi has thousands of 5-star ratings for both customer service and high-quality installation. Plus, they offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. 50 years. Also, since no one wants to pay these high interest rates, for a limited time, Semperfi is offering 5-year no-interest financing with minimum monthly payments for qualified buyers. So if you need a new roof, don't stress. Semperfi Roofing has got your back. It all starts with a free 21-point roof inspection to assess the exact condition of your roof and what needs to be done next. Set up your inspection today. 262-600-2910. That's 600-2910. Or go online to semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
At Advent, we help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine by getting your nose and throat working with our unique Advent approach that you won't find elsewhere.
What can Everlast Structures do for us?
The neighbors had Everlast build a hobby building for them. John said they designed the building so that their camper and boat will fit inside, and enough room inside that his wife has an office space incorporated into the design. They went with a climate control package and have heated concrete floors. There's even a bathroom in their building.
With all that extra space, we can finally get organized.
Now, I'll give Everlast Structures a call right now.
Need more storage, a place for your hobbies, or a year-round climate-controlled utility building? We are Wisconsin's top post-frame builder with over 15 years of experience in the post-frame and residential construction industry. Our expertise lies in designing, supplying, and building your project seamlessly. We listen to our customers, understanding their goals and requirements while thinking about the future. Our post-frame structures are not only built for your current needs, but engineered for tomorrow's evolving demands. Everlast Structures are designed to enhance, built to endure. Call today to start your dream build with Everlast Structures.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality of joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
The one extremely fluid and common factor when it comes to war is fear for both sides.
This Veterans Day, the Good Stuff podcast honors those who've served and the stories that remind us what strength really looks like.
Had over 50 operations and had 23 blood transfusions.
Talking about resilience, purpose, and finding hope, community, and connection.
There are blessings that will happen in the most unexpected places.
Open your free iHeartRadio app, search the Good Stuff podcast, and listen now.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Monday night, the Packers take on the Eagles at Lambeau. Hear all the action on 95.7 Big FM. Presented by Robert Hack Diamonds. They buy gold. See them in Brookfield or Greenfield.
Classical conservatism and contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. We will get into some of those other election results and talk about how we're simultaneously, as conservatives, I think, overreacting and underreacting. And I am going to prove that this was not just blue states and a very, very deep blue city that elected Democrats, and in New York City's case, an open communist. And this is nothing that Republicans should be worried about, by talking about Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Do you know Bucks County, Pennsylvania? It was the place that President Trump actually went to go work at a McDonald's before last year's election. Now, 1 year ago today, we are going to talk about why Republicans should be incredibly worried about what happened last night in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and what they can do to ensure that it doesn't happen in, say, Waukesha County, Wisconsin. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, I have to get to this text that I got about 15 minutes ago before we started talking about the plague of young college-educated white liberal women from a college-educated white woman in her 30s, presumably a big conservative. She writes, I can't wait to hear your thoughts about college-educated white women falling for this socialism charade. I am a college-educated white woman in my 30s, although conservative, and I do think there is a big component of young women who think about what they should do or should think. There is a lot of pressure, especially on social media, about image and optics, and I think we can be easily influenced by others. It's interesting because this makes me think about the young Ukrainian woman who was murdered on the train a couple of months ago. That was in North Carolina. When I heard this story, people said, I can't believe she would sit in front of a black man who is talking to himself, or that she should have been more careful. It's interesting because I often take the thought of, see, I'm not racist. I can sit next to a black man on the train. Or see, I'm not judgy. I can walk next to a dangerous looking person on the sidewalk. I wonder if some of the people who voted for Mamdani think, see, I am not one of those Trumpers. I am a good person. I can share my wealth, or whatever negative thoughts they might have about conservatives are. I hope some of this makes sense. Sorry, this feels like one big run-on sentence. Haha, thanks for a great show. It is absolutely not, dear listener. That is 100% of what the overwhelming majority of, I believe, not just young liberal white women, but Democrats are. It is all about image consciousness and projecting a sense of self to the world that, yes, I am a good person. It's image crafting. It's virtue signaling. People want to be thought of as good people, as successful people, as loving people. What I always say is we are always the heroes in our own stories, that what we think and what we say about ourselves is always going to therefore be in the most positive light possible. Unless, of course, we're like really clinically depressed and we can't think of a positive thing to say about ourselves. What we want to do and what we want to be thought of is as good, kind-hearted people. What Democrats have been able to do ever is to weaponize that idea, to make it seem as though the only way that you can actually be a good person, and just as importantly, the only way that you can show others that you're a good person, is by voting for the people who care about others. Those mean Republicans, they don't care about others. They just want to hoard their wealth, and they want to shut off food stamp benefits for the poor. We Democrats, we don't want to do that. We want everybody to be able to eat. Never mind the fact that we have actually voted to shut down the government 14 times, where all it would take is 5 Democrat senators to join with every single Republican senator and every single Republican House member, and the government would be reopened today. By the way, coming up in the daily Trump date at the start of next hour, the leaders of the House and Senate, weirdly enough, demanding a meeting with the president today, the day after the elections. Now they want to reopen the government. Okay, Hakeem. Okay, Chuck. We see this for the political charade that it was. Yes, I wanted to prove that I am a very educated person by saying charade instead of charade. You see, I can even virtue signal myself, folks. Ultimately, voting for Democrats has always been seen by Democrats and by influence peddlers. Not exactly what I mean, not like, loan sharks and mafioso, the influence peddlers. What I mean by influencers and by people who are tastemakers, I guess is what I'm thinking of, tastemakers. The idea, going all the way back to Rock the Vote. When I was a kid, Rock the Vote, MTV's Rock the Vote was the big thing. And all the cool bands and all the cool rappers, they were all rocking votes. Right? And if you were not rocking the vote, which was, of course, something that was designed to get young people to vote for left-wing candidates, you were implicitly not cool. Virtue signaling is a very powerful component of the Democrat toolbook. It's envy, it's virtue signaling, it's racial demagoguery, all of it working in this perverse bouillabaisse to try to convince people to vote. And yes, it's especially effective in young women. That is an excellent text, absolutely excellent text. Unhinged Liberal, next.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington, Total Traffic Center.
Eastbound 94 past 84th, you got a crash that blocks the right shoulder. Heavy delays back to the Zoo interchange. Southbound 43, delays are heavy from Keefe down to the Marquette. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, we offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, we take the fear out of ordering custom blinds, shades, and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com.
I'm Victor Harding, a true trial attorney at Warshevsky Law. You've heard our advertising for years. While it's been effective introducing Warshevsky to injured people in need of maximum judgments and settlements, most of our clients come from personal referral. Referrals from former clients grateful for the settlement or trial judgment Warshevsky won on their behalf. Thus, they're recommending us to friends and family. Referrals from people in the community, including other lawyers and judges who want to make sure their friends and family are taken care of. Still not sure? Ask around. Warshevsky is referred by Wisconsin law enforcement officers who've seen Warshevsky attorneys in action, desperate to make sure friends and family receive just compensation. Insurance adjusters, often our adversaries, refer their family members hurt in accidents. They know the work we do. They all refer Warshevsky because big case or small, we can help. If someone you love is injured, please let them know, because at the end of their ordeal, their injury is about the money. Warshevsky.com.
So the Donahos invited us to dinner.
Hang on, honey. Hello?
Hi, this is Lori from First American Bank.
Whoa, honey, it's the bank. Listen to how real this AI voice sounds.
Hello?
Yes, hello. I'm calling about your First American Bank home equity line of credit application.
That is free.
Right? What do I press for? Representative.
Oh, you don't press anything. I'm a real person.
Now it's claiming to be a real person.
Wow.
Sir, along with First American Bank's best loan deals in town, we pride ourselves on providing impeccable personal service. That's why you get me, a real life specialist, to help you every step of the way with your loan. Isn't that more useful than passing you off to an artificial intelligence chatbot?
What's 2 times 2?
4.
Who created the Dewey Decimal System?
Melville Dewey.
Limburger sandwich or cheese curds?
Oh, you're not dragging me into that one.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit firstambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
For safe, purified water right from your faucet, the solution is crystal clear.
Any project, big or small, when it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK, pump and plumbing.
Always great service, our go-to for all of our car troubles. That's Carrie talking about engine and transmission exchange in her online review. And that is the bottom line when you want or need a mechanic, isn't it? Where can I take this with no hassles for a repair that's done right? That's Engine and Transmission Exchange. They have 2 locations, one on West Avenue in Waukesha, the other on South 27th Street in Milwaukee. ETE is a place you can absolutely trust with your car or truck. They'll give you an honest diagnosis and a quality repair. Ted says working with Vince was great. He and his team are responsive, honest, and skilled. He says they also took care of my son's car and saved us a lot of money by foregoing repairs another shop told us we needed that we didn't. Yeah, I can't tell you how many great second opinion stories I've been sent over the years. ETE is a great place to get a second opinion because this team is so honest. Trust me. Engine and Transmission Exchange has ASE certified technicians in every field of auto repair, and they work on all makes and models. See enginetrans.com for details. Enginetrans.com. It's Engine and Transmission Exchange.
Bob from Redefined Realty here. I'd written my own ads for 20 years. Creative genius. Here. Same. Well, Inet's ads and 100 other businesses' ads. Writing your own ads, you kind of get stuck repeating the same message. Different words, but the same perspective. Before introducing Easy Home Bidder, Bob came to Inet to brand his brainchild, MLS Listing Backed by Auction. It's brilliant. MLS guarantees the home is found. Auction guarantees the highest sale price. Period. Inet branded it, wrote our story, knocked our marketing out of the park. When you think of selling your home, you know MLS and auction together is the right choice. Redefined also benefits from unparalleled radio buying power, industry influence, and extracurricular enhancement of being part of the Inet community. More than 1,000 businesses working together for each other's successes. Websites, branding, design, video, and radio. Inet is improving the economy one business at a time. InetDishWeb.com. CreativeGeniusMarketing.com. Buyers, sellers, real estate for winners. RedefinedRealty.com.
For NARI award-winning home renovating.
WISN listeners are wise, enlightened, engaged, and have impeccably good taste. Thank you for making us Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130 WISN.
Virtue signaling is and has been at the core of Democrat politics forever. It's envy, racial, sexual, gender identity, demagoguery, and virtue signaling. Those are the 3 tenets. They want you to communicate to others. They want you to think of yourself as a good person because you vote for the people who care. They want you to be envious of those who you perceive as having more than you. And they want you to be in your own demographic box. You are a woman first. You are a gay person first. You are an Ethiopian first and an American second. All right. My producer is saying, hurry it up. We do have to get to the unhinged liberal of the day. I'm gonna cut it a little bit short. This guy goes on for a while. I suspect we're going to talk about this later on in the show. Here we go.
That make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. That make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is Hassan Piker, the very popular communist streamer who was at Zoran Mamdani's victory party last night and said it was a tragedy that the U.S. defeated the USSR in the Cold War.
What do you think it means that this guy ran as a socialist and anti-communism didn't work to stop him? That's big.
Yeah, I think we are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. And the reality of the matter is there's a lot of antagonism. There's no class consciousness in the United States of America. It's one of the things I try to address every day with my commentary.
He goes on to say, but now people are finally waking up. Yes, he is lamenting the fact that the United States defeated the USSR, which in a sense it didn't actually do. The USSR defeated itself because it went broke. Because that's what communist governments always do. They go broke and a whole bunch of people die. Sort of the way of the world. Hassan Piker, your unhinged liberal of the day. More on the elections, daily Trump date, and more coming up after the news.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Listen to Sean Hannity, weekday evenings 6 to 9 on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels. We're learning more about why Greenfield Police Chief Jay Johnson was criminally charged with misconduct in office. Fox 6's Bria Jones.
The charge relates to an investigation into the use of a city-owned surveillance camera for use at Johnson's home in Racine County while he was going through a divorce, violating codes of conduct and threatening other Greenfield officers. Johnson has been on paid leave since April.
There was a big turnout last night at the Common Council meeting in Port Washington over a proposed $15 billion data center.
The city's Common Council approved the creation of a tax increment district to finance the infrastructure in the planned Vantage data center. Amy Barlow with Clean Wisconsin told Fox 6 Milwaukee her group's concerned about the amount of lake water to be used by the center.
We have these projects happening all over Wisconsin.
The energy provider estimates that the data center will use less water than a golf course. Ted Allen, Wisconsin Radio Network.
And at least 9 people are dead, over a dozen injured after a UPS cargo plane crash happened last night during takeoff from an airport in Louisville, Kentucky.
That UPS plane had 38,000 gallons of jet fuel in its tanks for its flight to Honolulu when it crashed during takeoff. Officials are saying this crash was so catastrophic. A fire on the left wing of the aircraft as it was heading down the runway. The plane ran off the runway, crashing into several businesses, including a petroleum recycling center.
Fox's Garrett Tenney checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard. Marquette goes for their second straight win tonight. They're home to play Southern at Fiserv at 7. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Dave Michaels on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by ReamerRomano.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
A bit cloudy to start off our Wednesday, but clearing to sunshine by the afternoon, high near 56. Strong northwest wind gusting up around 30 miles per hour at times. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell. Don't forget to check out the Gales of November, the final voyage of the Edmund Fitzgerald, Friday at 7 on Fox 6 and Fox Local.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. We sell custom blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices. Our blinds are handcrafted to fit your windows, and if they don't, for any reason, we'll remake them for free. Your satisfaction is always guaranteed at Blindster.com.
We all know the importance of good daily habits, whether it's getting your steps in, stretching those limbs, or eating right. Doing it on the regular is key. That's why if you're dealing with everyday aches and pain, it's time to bring Relief Factor into your routine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a special formula of 4 natural ingredients. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So call 1-800-4-RELIEF and try their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Simply call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, don't let it keep you from living the life you want. Make Relief Factor part of your daily routine. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
With gold at an all-time high, now is a smart time to turn your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds into cash. And no one makes it easier than Robert Hack Diamonds. Those old-class rings, broken chains, dental gold, even coins, silver flatware, and tea sets could be worth more than you think. Robert Hack Diamonds will sit down with you, walk through each item, and make you a fair, no-pressure cash offer. Whether you're cleaning out a jewelry box or settling an estate, if in doubt, bring it in. They need your gold to create custom pieces for their customers, so this is a win-win. Stop by Robert Hack Diamonds and see what your forgotten items are really worth. They have a 64-plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. Gold is at an all-time high. The process is simple. The time to cash in is now. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
I'm Reset Restore MD's Dr. Jennifer Grieve. For people that are suffering from depression, anxiety, and PTSD who are desperate for relief, intravenous ketamine can provide the relief of a lifetime that other therapies can't. Listen to R&R MD patient feedback.
Depression plagued me for years. Antidepressants, supplements, yoga, meditating, even energy drinks, nothing worked. After the first R&R MD ketamine treatment, the fog that gripped my brain for years was gone. It broke my caffeine addiction. I had energy, zero anxiety, zero fatigue, zero depression day one.
The staff at the clinic is amazing. The results phenomenal. Anyone suffering depression or anxiety, this is the only therapy that ever worked.
IV ketamine infusions at Brookfield or Mequon's Reset Restore MD induce neuroplasticity, triggering rapid growth of therapeutic neurological connections. R&R MD's superior intravenous ketamine infusions take about an hour, but the relief can continue for weeks, months, even a lifetime. R&R for relief, Reset Restore MD, rnrmd.com.
From the road to the roof, S&K will fix your plumbing problems 24/7.
When you need to know, come to us. News Talk 1130 WISN.
Why Bucks County, Pennsylvania matters far more than New York City when it comes to analyzing last night's elections. Coming up in the second hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show, it is a big one. You're not going to want to miss this. Plus, President Trump, I think, had the line of the election, and if Republicans are smart, they are going to use it. We are going to sort of weave in and out of election coverage because the president also did mark a huge anniversary today, 1 year since his election, which completed the single biggest political comeback, I dare say, in American history. The man was convicted 34 times in a kangaroo court in New York. By the way, do you think the prosecution of political enemies in New York is going to increase or decrease with an open communist in power? By the way, Van Jones, of all people, we'll try to get to this a little bit later, was very surprised at the change in tone of actually, producer Eric, can we get this right now since I'm talking about it? Van Jones, CNN commentator, he's a socialist himself, and this was back when socialism was the dirty word in Democrat politics. He was actually forced to leave the Obama White House back in 2009 because it was revealed he was a socialist. He was very, very surprised that the Zohran Mamdani we heard in the victory speech screaming about Ethiopian line cooks and Venezuelan abuelas sounded much harsher and much less friendly and warm and welcoming than the Zohran Mamdani that we heard on the campaign trail. Hey, welcome to socialist politics, Van.
I think the Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. And I think that Mamdani is the one you need to hear from tonight. There are a lot of people trying to figure out, can I get on this train with him or not? Is he going to include me? Is he going to be more of a class warrior even in office? I think he missed a chance tonight to open up and bring more people into the tent. I think his tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight. And there was some other voice on stage.
That's just some weird voice. This was not Zoran. Mark Van Jones down for wanting kinder, warmer bread lines.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Trump just keeps winning.
It is a win for the administration.
It's also a big win for the United States.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
President Trump started his day by meeting with Republican senators in an effort to reopen the federal government shutdown, which is now, as of late last night, the longest in American history. Wouldn't you know it? Hakeem Jeffries, leader of Democrats in the House of Representatives, and Chuck Schumer, Democrat leader in the Senate, sent a letter today after the polls closed, after Democrats won the elections, saying we demand, actually, to meet with the president to reopen the federal government. Now, of course, Democrats are going to be allowed to quietly cave now that they don't need to look tough in front of their increasingly radicalized base. After that, the president took off for Miami and the American Business Forum. He was presented the key to the city by one of the few Republican mayors in America who runs a big city, Miami's Francis Suarez. The president marked 1 year since his re-election bid.
We're gathered today on the 1 year anniversary of the single most consequential election victory. They say, this is them, this isn't me. I'm a very modest person. I would never say this. The single most consequential election victory in American history is possible. I mean, it's possible. We've done a lot. On November 5th, 2024, the American people reclaimed our government. We restored our sovereignty. We lost a little bit of sovereignty last night in New York, but we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. We rescued our economy, regained our liberty, and together we saved our country.
The president touted the economic successes of the first 9 months of his term.
In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off of food stamps, which is a record. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today. Think of that. Almost 2 million American-born workers are employed today, more than when I took office. That's 9 months ago. Can you imagine that? And I tell Republicans, if you want to win elections, you got to talk about these facts. You know, it's really easy to win elections when you talk about the facts. And we have more people working now than at any time in the history of our country.
And not only that, the president said wage growth has been off the chart, especially for the very working people that the new communist mayor of New York claims to be standing up for.
Are rising at the fastest pace in over 60 years. That's the workers. And that's what we love. We love our workers. Since I took office, wages for the typical factory worker are up $1,300. Construction workers' pay is up $2,200, and miners are up nearly $5,000 this year alone.
Just absolutely remarkable, the turnaround that this president has been able to engineer. And he said the only thing that is able to even slow him down is this government shutdown. He again called for Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to reopen the government.
It's time for Chuck Schumer, the radical Democrat Congress, to stop playing games with the people's lives and to pass a clean funding bill that they've done 30 times before, and to reopen government immediately. Just reopen it.
Well, they're more likely than they were 24 hours ago to do so. That, ladies and gentlemen, your Daily Trump Date, a look at what was going on at the White House, in the federal government, and beyond, right here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. It's time now to give you the 4 o'clock word in the Fall Fortune Cash Contest. That word is deposit, DEPOSIT, deposit. You have got until 4:55 to go to our website, enter the keyword deposit to enter the contest for this hour, and you, sir or madam, will be entered into a chance to win $1,000. Believe it or not, what is today, November 5th? We are very, very quickly coming up on the end of the Fall Fortune Cash Contest. If you can believe it, it runs through November 14th. It's a little earlier of an end this year. Normally, we go to about the Friday before Thanksgiving. We started it a little earlier, I believe, as well. I have it on very good authority that the Cold Hard Cash Contest will start up just after the first of the year. All right, you want to join the Dan O'Donnell Show? 414-799-1130. That's our AdventNows.com talk and text line. You can reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Or, of course, you can email me anytime, DOD@iHeartMedia.com. I told you that President Trump spent his morning meeting with Republican senators, and apparently there was a very strong pitch to simply get rid of the filibuster in the Senate. Before Trump and the senators met in closed session away from the press, President Trump talked openly about his desire to get rid of the filibuster.
It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3.25. We have 3.25 years, so it's a long time.
Now, the president said without the 60-vote threshold, and that's what the filibuster is. I think I've explained this a lot on this program, but there are still some who are kind of unsure what a filibuster is. It's an archaic thing. I mean, but it is a very powerful tool that the minority has in a Senate to stop the majority from just running roughshod with a simple majority. So the filibuster essentially stops a bill in its tracks until there is a cloture vote. Now, a traditional filibuster, like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, where you had Jimmy Stewart just talking until he collapsed, you no longer have to hold the floor physically. Now, Democrats have done performative filibusters. I think most recently it was Cory Booker, who talked for hours and hours and hours, days and days and days about nothing. It was a political stunt. It was designed to gain attention for Cory Booker, and it did nothing else. Well, that's how filibusters used to work. You would hold the floor, and no other business of the Senate could get done until you were done talking. Well, long about the early 1900s, the Senate developed a two-track system for legislation, realizing that filibusters were just slowing everything down. Think of a train track, and there is a separate track where a car can veer off. So if there are a bunch of train cars that are backed up behind the one that's being filibustered, you simply move it on to the separate track. That bill is stopped until there can be what's known as a cloture vote, which requires 60 votes in order to end the filibuster. Then there can be action on that bill. But the other cars, the other bills that were stopped behind the filibustered bill, go onto a separate track, and the Senate simply takes those up. As a result, the number of filibusters just exploded. Now, I have been on the record, and I still maintain that it is a phenomenally bad idea to nuke the filibuster. That's exactly what Democrats want. Precisely what Democrats want, but President Trump makes a very good point. Democrats were going to do it with a simple majority the last time they had power. The only reason they didn't, you had Kyrsten Sinema, senator from Arizona, and you had Joe Manchin, senator from West Virginia, siding with the Republicans to not allow the Democrats to do it. Where are Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema? They're not in the Senate anymore. Every other Democrat voted to get rid of the filibuster. Trump is saying, who cares what Democrats are likely to do next? If we're so scared that if we do this, then Democrats are going to, use the ended filibuster to do whatever they're going to do that anyway. Why don't we nuke the filibuster now, reopen the government, and get done the things that we want done?
We should start tonight with the country's open. Congratulations. Then we should pass voter ID. We should pass no mail-in voting. We should pass all the things that we want to pass, make our elections secure and safe, because California is a disaster. Many of the states are disasters. But can you imagine when they vote almost unanimously against voter ID? All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. That's only for one reason, because they cheat. We would pass that in 15 minutes.
Trump is, of course, correct. There is only one reason that you don't want to have voter ID, and that's because you think you benefit from people who are able to vote using somebody else's identity. There's no other reason to oppose voter ID. There is truly no logical reason. The racist idea that, well, poor Black and Hispanic people can't get IDs is about the most racist thing I think I have ever heard in my life. You need an ID to do pretty much anything in this country. Tomorrow, we are heading off on the Dan O'Donnell European getaway to Rome. We're taking about, I think it's 90 listeners, give or take, on a quick tour of Rome. So yes, I will be gone Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, but I'll actually be back a week from today. So it's a very, very quick trip. We're not going to any other cities. We're just going to see Rome, the Colosseum, Trevi Fountain, of course, the Vatican. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. And by the way, we are doing another one of these in April, where we are going to Prague, one of the most beautiful and, yes, one of the most conservative cities in Europe, in the Czech Republic. We do still have a couple of slots open. Head to cruise-tour.com if you want to do that. Hey, Paul Harvey has got nothing on me for how smooth I just worked in that commercial right into the show content. And now, page 2. Rich chocolate Ovaltine. I do a medium. I haven't heard Paul's voice in a while. I used to do a much better Paul Harvey than I do now. God rest his soul. Man, do I love me some Paul Harvey. Paul Harvey and Rush Limbaugh, I've talked ad nauseum about how they are my broadcast heroes. But back to the filibuster. Senator Ron Johnson has reversed course on his longstanding opposition to nuking the filibuster using the exact same logic. Democrats are going to do it anyway. If you think the party that just elected Zohran Mamdani is not going to do away with something that they have decried as racist every single time that they find themselves in the majority and have the filibuster used against them, you're nuts. They're going to get rid of it. So why not do that first and just recognize that we can actually get stuff done? If you are to believe that Republicans are going to lose everything there is to lose next year, then there's no reason not to do it. But even if they do, would you believe that because of the way the Senate map is set up, there are no people who believe, unless there is just a tidal wave of a blue wave next year, that Democrats are going to retake the Senate? They're probably going to retake the House. And folks, that's normal. That's usually what happens in midterm elections to a party that does not control the White House. They usually do very, very, very well. Just look at the Republicans in 2010 and 2014, the two midterm elections of Barack Obama. There is reason for optimism, though, that, by the way, I have not changed my stance. I think it would be a bad move. I say force Democrats to do it themselves. I do, however, like Tom Emmer's solution. He's the House Majority Whip. And we actually had him on the program a couple of weeks ago. Very, very entertaining guy. He said, what if we do away with the filibuster just for government shutdowns and appropriations bills? If Democrats aren't willing to compromise on reopening the government, I actually would be willing to compromise on that. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll get back into the election analysis and the slogan that might save Republicans next year.
From the Lynch Chevrolet of Kenosha Total Traffic Center.
Southbound 4145 heavy from Highway 145 down to Capitol. 894 southbound jammed from the Zoo to National, where you got a crash that blocks the right lane. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Looking for affordable blinds, shades, or shutters for your home? Don't hire an expensive pro. Check out Blindster.com, where we offer custom-made window coverings at guaranteed low prices with a team of pros ready to help you every step of the way. Blindster.com.
Believe it or not, it's been 6 months since tax day. It's time to start taking a look at your plan. Fortunately, we're still in a window of time where you can review, strategize, and make many changes to your 2025 tax plan. But the days are going by quickly. The team here at Annex Wealth Management can help. Our tax and retirement specialists can review your goals and your current situation and walk through options that might build confidence on where you're headed. Contact Annex Wealth Management today.
I'm Josh Parks, owner of Infinity Exteriors. 9 out of 10 brand new roofs can't pass a simple manufacturer warranty inspection. Every Infinity roof does.
MJ, Josh's partner here, protecting homeowners for decades to come, always installing roofs, siding, and windows to better than manufacturer warranty specifications is how we built Infinity to the most successful exterior remodeling company in the Midwest.
It's your home, it's your roof. With Infinity, it's all about you.
Infinity passes on buying power no other roofer has, saving you money.
Infinity provides absolute transparency in pricing with our proprietary app, showing exactly what Infinity is going to do and exactly what everything will cost line by line, real time.
No waiting 3 days to a week for a quote.
If you like what you see,
and you will,
Infinity can schedule your new roof, siding, or windows, including financing, right there in your home. No hassle, no waiting.
Warranted, guaranteed quality. Installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
That's InfinityRoofing.com.
For superior carpet cleaning, hire a company with over 75 years of experience that will get the job done right the first time. Always clean, always on time. Edelman.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman. For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules. Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
A place where freedom of speech and freedom of thought live on. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Wisconsin Badger basketball. The Red Hot Badgers host Northern Illinois at the Gold Center this Friday night. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock on News Talk 1130 WISN.
President Trump, of course, did respond to last night's elections, which, of course, the left is celebrating as a giant rebuke of him, of Republicans, of conservatives everywhere. Already in Wisconsin, I saw the new chairman of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Devin Remaker, already celebrating as though they have won the gubernatorial election. And he put the F word on Tom Tiffany's face. And he said, live look at Tom Tiffany after watching this evening's election returns. I actually responded to him, Devin, I would do a live look at you once Mandela Barnes hops in the race, but showing a man defecating in his pants is a violation of X's terms of service. They are really that terrified of Mandela getting in the race and screwing everything up because Wisconsin is not New York City. We don't support socialists. And oh, by the way, we already rejected Man Deadbeat 4 years ago, but he would go in as the overwhelming favorite. So Democrats are overreacting, thinking that last night's results absolutely mean that they can't lose anywhere in any race at any time next year. Now, that may be true, but if there's one thing I know about politics is that everything is always in flux. President Trump, while meeting with last night's races.
And last night, it was, not expected to be a victory. It was very Democrat areas, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. But we had an interesting evening, and we learned a lot.
We certainly did. We learned that Zohran Mamdani over the next year might well be the single best thing that can happen to Republicans. Already this morning, you saw in his daily press conference, House Speaker Mike Johnson call Mamdani the new de facto leader of the Democrat Party.
We have Democrats who are flailing. They have no leader. Their national leader now, as we've noted, is Mamdani. He's a communist. Good luck with that.
And good luck defeating what I think needs to be the message from here on out. It needs to be twofold. One, make America great again needs to morph into America first, America always. And I think this absolute banger from President Trump this morning needs to be everywhere, coming out of every candidate's mouth at all times.
The communists, Marxists, socialists, and globalists had their chance, and they...
Whoops, that's not it. That's not it. It's right here.
After last night's results, the decision facing all Americans could not be more clear. We have a choice between communism and common sense.
That's ultimately it. You can choose, America, communism or common sense. Now, common sense needs to be backed by America first, America always policies. The thing that probably got President Trump elected more than anything was the fact that life became unaffordable for pretty much everybody. Prices absolutely skyrocketed. By the way, Wisconsin's esteemed Congresswoman Gwen Moore posted the most hilarious self-own last night. She was blaming Trump for high gas prices and posted the graph, the chart that showed grocery prices, that showed grocery prices absolutely exploded under Joe Biden when Biden and the Democrats controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And they've only marginally gone up. And in fact, a lot of grocery items have actually gone down since President Trump was first inaugurated. We haven't had deflation month over month. I think there might have been 1 month in there when we actually saw prices drop. The reality is, though, you don't see prices drop. The damage that Biden did and Democrats did to this country is, for the most part, irreversible. We are simply not going to be able to afford our lives anymore. And communist policies like those that are going to be in place in New York are going to exacerbate those problems. I saw a post on X. I don't know if it was from Unusual Whales or it was from one of those financial accounts that I follow that showed the average age of the first-time home buyer in America now. First-time home buyer. Guess the age. Average. 40. 40. That's up from something like 31 in 2021. The average first-time home buyer. What does that tell you? That people who are younger, it's not that people who are younger don't want to buy homes. It's not that they're not getting married, and they aren't in as great a numbers as a generation or two ago. That's sure. They're not having as many children. A lot of them are opting not to have children. They're pushing back adulthood. Yes, I think that's less a function of them wanting to stay man babies than the fact that they don't believe they can afford kids, or they are armed now with the knowledge that if they can make it to age 65, and statistics bear this out, if you can make it to age 65, your average life expectancy now is about 84 as an American male, even higher for an American female. The only reason that our life expectancy is not significantly higher is threefold. It's homicide, suicide, and drugs. That's it. Yes, we have car accidents. Yes, we have. But the big reasons that our life expectancy is something in the 70s, that's totally misleading. Most people who aren't engaged in insanely risky behavior, like getting involved in gang culture where you're likely to be shot and killed, or getting involved in drugs where you're likely to overdose, if you can avoid those traps, if you can avoid, car accidents and motorcycle accidents. That's a big one, is riding a motorcycle. It is. I know a lot of you folks ride Harleys, but it is a significant risk factor for early death. If you can avoid those, people are expecting that they're going to live to 85 or 90. Well, with that on the horizon, and now it's much easier to have children later in life because of advances in medical technology, people are delaying it, but they're also delaying it because they simply can't afford children. They can't afford homes. They're spending so much more money on basic necessities like groceries, like gas, like rent. The last 4 years were disastrous. And President Trump was elected in large measure on a promise to undo all that. Thus far, the trade war, the tariffs, as much as I understand the strategy behind them, in the short term, has not caused prices to decline. In fact, it's caused prices to be artificially higher than they otherwise would be for the goods that Americans consume and buy. If the Supreme Court, and oral arguments were today, strikes down President Trump's use of the emergency authority to unilaterally impose tariffs, yes, tariffs need to go through the Congress. The Congress did not vote for any tariffs. President Trump invoked emergency authority that I believe he does not have. And I believe the Supreme Court is more likely than not to strike this down. That might be a blessing in disguise if all of a sudden those tariffs were to go away. In the long term, maybe it's bad from a national security standpoint, from a revenue generation standpoint, from long-term trade negotiation standpoint. But in the short term, it could be a gift to Republicans if all of a sudden there is a glut of cheaper products that are more affordable. People will feel better about their own personal finances. The stock market has been going gangbusters. Could you imagine if all of a sudden all of the tariffs were gone? Stock market would be at 70,000, for goodness sakes. But when you focus on bread and butter economic issues, when you make the choice between common sense and communism, Republicans can win. But they have an uphill battle, and that battle will be fought in places like Bucks County. I'm going to get into why that should be such a wake-up call next.
The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound 43, stopping and going from Keefe down to the Marquette interchange. Got a crash on the exit to North Avenue. 94 eastbound crash cleanup continues off to the right shoulder at 84th Street. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
What if I can guarantee the price of Bitcoin will be $1 million in 2030? Well, I can't, but I can guarantee you'll save a lot of money on blinds at my company, Blindster.com. Free samples, free shipping, and guaranteed to fit. Shop at Blindster.com today.
Auburn, crimson, gold. When the colors of autumn burst forth, don't forget green. You could stuff your pockets with a ton of green if you play the nationwide Fall Fortune Cash Contest on News Talk 1130 WISN. 9 times each weekday, listen for a keyword to enter, with hourly winners snaring the $1,000 hourly prize.
The Fall Fortune Cash Contest is presented by North Star American Bistro in Brookfield. Classic American fare with a gourmet twist. NorthstarBistro.com.
We use powerful truck-mounted carpet cleaning units designed to remove even the toughest dirt, and certified cleaning technicians who understand the definition of clean.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
Hey, it's Vicki McKenna for Byrna, the compact kinetic self-defense tool you've been hearing me talk about. America isn't the safe country it used to be. Maybe it never was, but we all see the violence in the news every day. And prosecutors aren't doing their jobs, even if the police are. You have to be ready to defend yourself and your family in your home and on the street. And if you can't, or don't want to get a CCL, that's where Byrna comes in. Byrna's new compact launcher is the perfect way to conceal anywhere and everywhere. It's small and lightweight, but it's equipped with less lethal kinetic ammunition designed to incapacitate an attacker for up to 40 minutes, even from a distance. It's perfect for anywhere you go you might encounter a threat of any kind. Byrna requires no background checks and can be shipped directly to your door. It's trusted by hundreds of police departments, and it's proudly assembled by American workers in Indiana. Visit Byrna.com today to find the right launcher for you. That's BYRNA.com. That's Byrna.com.
I'm Ryan Harrison, owner of Ryan Waterproofing. If it seems rain hangs around your home coming down as insidiously delicate droplets or in buckets, and if neither, rain tends to lurk suspiciously in the atmosphere around your house, you probably have a wet, mildewy, leaky basement with cracked walls. No basement wall or foundation repair is too big or small for Ryan Waterproofing. We won't be the most expensive. The larger the job, the more you'll save with Ryan. We've eliminated bowed walls, cracks, spalling, seepage, and flooding in Coast Guard stations, museums, and countless Wisconsin homes. Ryan's waterproofing experts show up on time and do exactly what we say we're going to do, eliminating your water problems, restoring your home, even ending your negative obsession with rain. Imagine looking out the window for rainbows rather than obsessing about your basement walls and floors next time, every time it rains. Free estimates, affordable financing. Because praying for drought is overrated. Ryan Waterproofing, call Ryan.com. That's call RION.com.
With gold at an all-time high, now is a smart time to turn your unwanted gold, silver, or diamonds into cash. And no one makes it easier than Robert Hack Diamonds. Those old-class rings, broken chains, dental gold, even coins, silver flatware, and tea sets could be worth more than you think. Robert Hack Diamonds will sit down with you, walk through each item, and make you a fair, no-pressure cash offer. Whether you're cleaning out a jewelry box or settling an estate, if in doubt, bring it in. They need your gold to create custom pieces for their customers. So this is a win-win. Stop by Robert Hack Diamonds and see what your forgotten items are really worth. They have a 64-plus year tradition of treating every single client with dignity, fairness, and professionalism. Gold is at an all-time high. The process is simple. The time to cash in is now. Robert Hack Diamonds, 146th and Greenfield Avenue in Brookfield and 76th and Layton in Greenfield.
Ever feel like financial advisors just don't speak your language? Money Sense is here to change that. It's the podcast and radio show from the Ellen Becker Investment Group, a local woman-owned firm that's been helping families for over 30 years. Each episode breaks down money topics in a way that actually makes sense. No jargon, no sales pitch, just real-life guidance you can use. Subscribe to Money Sense on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or listen at ellenbecker.com.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. I had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
The free iHeartRadio app, giving you direct access to leave a message for Santa.
Hello, Santa. Hello, Santa. Hello, Santa Claus.
While you listen to North Pole Radio on the app, press the red talkback mic to record a message to Santa. It can be a question, song request, or to even just remind him why you should be on the nice list.
The nice list, right? Have a holly jolly Christmas.
Just open up the free iHeartRadio app and search North Pole Radio and make it a preset now.
Love you, Santa.
Why Bucks County, Pennsylvania wasn't just a pivotal county for President Trump to win in 2024, why it actually portends big problems for Republicans in 2026. Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is conservative thought, not just talk. I believe President Trump has the line of the cycle with respect to how Republicans can win in 2026, but they need to get back to bread and butter economic issues. And it is this. You have a choice between communism and common sense.
After last night's results, the decision facing all Americans could not be more clear. We have a choice between communism and common sense.
Bucks County, Pennsylvania is the place where this sort of messaging would be direly needed. It is a bellwether area in suburban Pennsylvania, and it experienced a huge political reversal between the federal elections, not just of President Trump, but also of Senator Dave McCormick and Republicans in the Congress and also the state legislature and the 2025 municipal elections last night. County leaned Republican in 2024, delivering a narrow win for Trump, the first GOP presidential victory there since 1988. However, last night, pretty much every Democrat won, led by Joe Kahn as the district attorney of the county, a 9% victory over the Republican. He is the first Democrat DA there since the Civil War. Sheriff, Democrat won by 11. Recorder of Deeds, Controller, both flips from GOP. The Court of Common Pleas, 4 seats up for grabs. It was a 4-0 Democrat sweep. School board races, the exact same thing. Now, you could say, all right, well, Dan, these are local races. These are municipal races. These are county races. They don't really have an impact on federal elections. And while generally speaking, that's true, when you put that amid what happened, when you had stronger than expected turnout for Democrats in already blue states like Virginia and New Jersey, and you had far left candidates pretty much sweeping everywhere in mayoral elections, admittedly, mostly in blue cities, Bucks County stands out because that was the sort of county that President Trump was able to flip. That was the sort of county that triggered his political comeback. Remember, he only won Pennsylvania by about 1.2% statewide. Counties like Bucks flipped for him, and counties all over the country flipped for Trump. Do you know how many counties in 2024 got bluer than they were in 2020? Do you know how many counties flipped from red to blue from 2020 to 2024? Out of all the counties in the United States, it was zero, not a single one. Money flipped right back to Democrats. This is why Republicans can't simply discount last night's election results as Democrats winning in Democrat states. I believe a lot of people are making too much out of what happened in New Jersey and Virginia, and I think there was some false hope, especially with Chitterelli, that he was actually going to win in New Jersey. You better believe the Republicans are going to try to turn New Jersey into a swing state, especially now with the influx of so many right-leaning people expected to come fleeing, heading for the hills after the election of Mamdani in New York City, those who don't go to Texas or Florida especially. But Bucks County, Pennsylvania is exactly the place where you would have liked to have seen other Republican, other conservative candidates pick up the torch from Trump and run to election victory. They didn't. None of them did. And that highlights a big problem for Republicans, and it has been a big problem in the era of Trump. When Trump is not on the ballot, we do not get anywhere near the same level of voter engagement. We do not get anywhere near the same level of interest among voters. And there is a very real problem of the only Trump voter that we have been facing pretty much since Trump came down that escalator. We'll elaborate on that point, and we will also name the unsung hero of the day coming up next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Dan O'Donnell is coming right back after this.
From the place you want to go, Lynch McGuanago Traffic Center.
Southbound 43 stopping and going from Keefe down to the Marquette interchange. Got a crash on the exit to North Avenue. 94 eastbound crash cleanup continues off to the right shoulder at 84th Street. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
What if I can guarantee the price of Bitcoin will be $1 million in 2030? Well, I can't, but I can guarantee you'll save a lot of money on blinds at my company, Blindster.com. Free samples, free shipping, and guaranteed to fit. Shop at Blindster.com today.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here saying you got to get to Built Right today. Built Right's Black November and Veterans Day mattress deals are on now. It's the best time to buy locally and love your sleep. Built Right's one location saves you time and money. They have the best selection of flippable mattresses in Wisconsin. Two sides are better than one with a flippable mattress from Built Right. 2 times the materials, 2 times the comfort and durability, in stock and on sale. Built Right has 36 flippable mattress models from 5 brands made in the USA: Therapeutic, Restonic, Schiffman, Comfort Sleep, and Gold Bond. Built Right has 2-sided models that are very affordable to the most luxurious handmade with natural materials. Plush, firm, pillow top, and heavy-duty models that have up to a 20-year warranty. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
You know that display in the bookstore of employees' top picks?
With the little cards and handwritten reviews.
Well, if Penny Mustard had a top pick section, it would feature the Dane bedroom.
My card would say, smoking hot. You'll feel more sophisticated with the Dane bedroom in your home.
My review would read, the perfect balance of iron and wood makes the Dane bedroom stand out from the rest.
And mine would say, I find this compelling, beautifully written tale to be both haunting and rollicking, gritty yet sensitive, crackling with pitch-perfect phrasing. A triumph. I only wish it had more pictures.
Anyway, the Dane bedroom's clean, crisp lines match any decor.
With forever tight bed brackets and drawer bottoms strong enough to stand on.
Wow, I can't wait to see the film adaptation.
The Dane bedroom with king floating panel bed, 8-drawer dresser, mirror, and 3-drawer nightstand, starting at $82.48 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Believe it or not, it's been 6 months since tax day. It's time to start taking a look at your plan. Fortunately, we're still in a window of time where you can review, strategize, and make many changes to your 2025 tax plan. But the days are going by quickly. The team here at Annex Wealth Management can help. Our tax and retirement specialists can review your goals and your current situation and walk through options that might build confidence on where you're headed. Contact Annex Wealth Management today.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus.
I give up. Where are they?
Who?
Hassellus Mattress employees.
Hassellus Mattress showrooms really are employee-free. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Don't believe it.
You won't believe our prices either. Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more for way less. Free next day delivery, too.
Sure. Next you'll say I can get a free adjustable base with my purchase through Monday.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Oh, come on.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson, the Falls and New Berlin. Seed oils, the #1 source of calories in American diets, developed as engine fuel in industrial lubricants, only ended up in the food supply for profit. Seed oils cause arthritis, heart disease, metabolic syndrome, stroke, type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and chronic illness. Medical doctors prescribe dozens of pharmaceuticals for life to treat symptoms of those diseases. Why don't they tell you to stop consuming poison? I'll tell you why. You sick is profitable. At Total Health, we teach eliminating seed oils from your diet improves true health and how you feel. Total Health finds the root cause of your fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, sleeplessness, then works with you, the whole you, eliminating symptoms and the chronic disease causing those symptoms. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution is true. Total Health's holistic practitioners utilize proven science to help you feel and truly be the most helpful and well you. TotalHealthInc.com. That's TotalHealthInc.com.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
There used to be a day when the national news media prided itself on getting the story right. Those days are gone. Now it's slanted stories, unnamed sources, and fake news. The goal no longer is to inform you. The goal is to indoctrinate you. Here at News Talk 1130 WSN, our show hosts will give you straightforward information and honest analysis. That is our commitment, and that is our daily mission. News Talk 1130 WISN. Real life, real news, real good.
Bucks County, Pennsylvania is precisely the place that Republicans need to overperform if they want to avoid what happened in 2018, which was a blue wave. Last night's results don't portend anything more than if Republicans get away from it. This is not, folks, this is not automatic doom. Okay. People always read way too much. Do you remember in 2021, people always read way too much into the first elections after a president is sworn in, after a presidential election, because it's invariably a reaction from the party that loses the last presidential election. Invariably. Do you remember what happened in 2021 in Virginia? Joe Biden gets elected president. Disastrous pullout of Afghanistan. Republicans win everything there is to win. Jason Miyares, I believe. No, it was a different guy. Obviously, Glenn Youngkin won the gubernatorial race. Winsome Sears won the LG's race. The attorney general's race also goes Republican. Everything went Republican. How likely is that to happen again? Virginia is a blue state. It's purple-ish, but not really. In presidential elections, when you've got that super high turnout, it does have the potential to swing, but not like 20, 25 years ago. There are so many federal workers. And yes, there are so many immigrants who have now become citizens and are far more likely than native-born Americans to vote Democrat, that Virginia is just a changed place. It's the Washington, D.C. suburbs versus pretty much the rest of the state. Same deal with New Jersey. It's always been a blue state. You can't take away too much. In 2021, you very nearly had a Republican upset in the gubernatorial race. How does that happen? It's a reaction to Biden. This was a reaction to Trump. It would follow long-term political history if Democrats did very, very well and won the House of Representatives back from the Republicans in 2026, because that's exactly what happened in 2022. It wasn't as big a red wave as I think anybody wanted. We did not claim here in Wisconsin the governor's race. In fact, Tony Evers became the very first Democrat, or he was the very first Democrat to win a gubernatorial election while his party controlled the White House here in Wisconsin. He was only the second governor to ever do that, first being Tommy Thompson, who did it a couple of times. There's something to the cyclical nature of American politics. However, if we want to ward off what would be a blue tsunami, and I certainly think one is coming. I'm not going to whistle past the graveyard, folks. If we want to avoid one, it is to focus on America first. America first, America always. Americans need to be the priority, not foreign entanglements, not anything else. Making life better for everyday Americans. Do you want to know why so many people are open to the insane socialism because they're open to the idea that life is not nearly as good as it should be for them. This is the envy part of the dark triumvirate, the dark triad, if you will, of Democrat argumentation. The whole appeal of the neo-socialist Democrat Party is threefold: virtue signaling. And this is people who, like your, kid's kindergarten teacher, they're good people. They want to be seen as good people. It's virtue signaling / naivete. It is racial, ethnic, gender, and sexuality-based demagoguery. If you are a minority, you must vote for Democrats. And the third one is envy. The third one is the politics of envy, this idea that but for somebody else, you would be better off. But for Donald Trump, but for the billionaires like Elon Musk, you would have as big a house as your neighbor does. You would have the job that your boss does. It's ridiculous. It's insane, but it is a very powerful argumentative strategy. It is to play on people's insecurities and to say, if you elect us, we will make sure your life is better. You don't even have to do anything. We will just take from the people that you dislike and we will give it to you and people like you. That is at the heart of what Marxist socialism is. Taking from the rich to give to the poor, not like Robin Hood, who did so from the bottom of his heart, but to gain political power. It's sort of like what the sheriff of Nottingham was doing. It was predatory taxation. It was keeping himself in power. And King John, or Prince John, I'm not sure how much of this is from the actual Robin Hood story. I haven't read those books in decades. I'm going from the Disney cartoon, which I just watched a couple of years ago with my son. While King Richard the Lionheart was off fighting the Crusades, it was his brother Prince John who was using taxation to keep himself enriched and to keep himself politically powerful. All right, we will get you the hero of the day, I hope, coming up later. Energy policy expert Daniel Turner joins us as we try to digest last night's election results.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Listen to Benjamin Yount, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels. Police in West Dallas continue to investigate a deadly motorcycle crash that happened near 110th and Greenfield last night. Today, Spirit Airlines announced it's cutting all service in and out of Milwaukee's Mitchell Airport beginning in January of next year. And Democrats posted big wins in elections across the country last night, with New York City electing Zohran Mamdani to be the next mayor. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Zohran Mamdani is without a doubt the biggest win for socialism in the history of the country, and it is the biggest loss for the American people. He is truly a committed Marxist. And the results of that race tell you everything you need to know about where the Democrats and their party are headed.
Checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard. College basketball tonight, non-conference game between Marquette and Southern at Fiserv. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Dave Michaels on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by ReamerRomano.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Freezing temperatures overnight, 32 near the lake, 20s inland by morning, 53 on Thursday, light rain Thursday night. And check out Gales of November, the final voyage of the Edmund Fitzgerald, Friday at 7 on Fox 6, Fox Local, and the Fox 6 YouTube channel.
This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage. Macy's Backstage is a whole department inside your Macy's store where you'll find everything you need for the holidays, all for under $35. With new arrivals every day, you never know what amazing deals you'll find. Don't wait. Find a location at Macy'sBackstage.com.
The only real estate agent I trust here in Milwaukee is Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Now, thanks for joining me today. The biggest fear for any home seller is the agent that plants a for sale sign in their yard and then just disappears. How important and consistent would you say communication is between both your team and your client's team?
Yeah, Sean, in business, it's everything. Here, Team Hoffman, we believe consistent, clear communication builds trust, keeps everyone on the same page, and most importantly, eliminates surprise. From the very first call all the way through closing, you're never going to wonder where things stand. You're going to hear from us every week because we keep you informed every step of the way. Communication isn't just important, it's the foundation of our success.
All right. Thanks for keeping us up to date. Just go to wihomeeval.com. That's wihomeeval.com. Or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 five-star reviews.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. If you're living with a chronic condition like diabetes, chronic heart failure, or a cardiovascular disorder, you might count on extra support with your healthcare too. That's why United Healthcare offers chronic special needs plans with extra benefits and a large provider network to choose from. Visit uhc.com/Medicare to find out if you qualify today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Wisconsin can count on. Provider network may vary in local market.
Business owners, want to sell your business? At Lake Country Advisors, our team will meet with you face-to-face and will answer all your questions confidentially. Visit LakeCountryAdvisors.com and schedule a free consultation. Local, experienced, and trusted. We are Lake Country Advisors.
We all know the importance of good daily habits, whether it's getting your steps in, stretching those limbs, or eating right. Doing it on the regular is key. That's why if you're dealing with everyday aches and pain, it's time to bring Relief Factor into your routine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a special formula of 4 natural ingredients. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So call 1-800-4-RELIEF and try their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Simply call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, don't let it keep you from living the life you want. Make Relief Factor part of your daily routine. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
From the road to the roof, S&K will fix your plumbing problems 24/7.
Touchdown, Wisconsin! Join us Saturday. Wisconsin returns home to host Washington. Our coverage begins at 1:30
on Milwaukee's home for Wisconsin Badger football. 95.7 Big FM. Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon. This is Anthony Priester with your closing business report. The major averages moved higher today as the ADP payroll number showed a return to job growth in the private sector last month, and questions from the Supreme Court on President Trump's tariffs raised hopes that some of the duties may be rolled back. In earnings news, shares of Advanced Micro Devices rose 2%, lifting other AI stocks with it after the company posted third quarter results that beat analyst estimates on earnings per share and revenue. At the close, the Dow was up 225 points, the S&P 500 was up 24 points, the NASDAQ was up 151 points. From the Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, I'm Anthony Priester.
A way forward for Republicans after the big losses in last night's elections, which were primarily in blue states, but you don't want to minimize them. You also don't want to overreact. That's why I said at the very beginning of the Dan O'Donnell show a couple of hours ago, that it is possible to simultaneously overreact and underreact to last night's loss. I believe Democrats are overreacting. They do not understand just what a political weapon. Zohran Mamdani's election in New York is going to be against them. President Trump already said it. Next year, the choice is going to be between communism and common sense. But as I spent much of the last hour outlining, common sense has to be reflected in what Republicans are doing at the federal and state levels over the next month and how they are packaging that messaging. It needs to be America first. It needs to be America always. To what extent does energy power the independence of this country, power the ascent of the middle class, and actually bring down costs? Well, it turns out a whole lot. Coming up in just a second, we are going to talk to a nationally renowned energy expert. You see him on Fox News and Fox Business all the time. But first, we want to power your Christmas shopping season with $1,000 in your pocket. It's the Fall Fortune Cash Contest, and the word this hour is credit, C-R-E-D-I-T, credit. You've got until 5:55 to go to our website, enter the keyword credit to enter the contest for this hour. I almost said concert. I'm not exactly sure where that came from. It's been a long day, folks, and I've got a long flight tomorrow night. Forgive me. We now welcome the founder and the executive director of the energy group, Power the Future. He is Daniel Turner. And Daniel, welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, it's great to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
So you're in rural Virginia. How are people around you taking what happened in the elections there?
Yeah, there was enthusiasm, hope, but not a ton of surprise, because Virginia, sadly enough, is a blue state. The biggest driver of our state's politics are these little tiny counties that are D.C. suburbs. And that's where the D.C. working class that is afraid to live in the city, that doesn't want to send their kids to its failing schools, they move to Virginia. They call themselves Virginians. It's safer, it's cleaner, it's cheaper, but they still vote like Washingtonians. And the shutdown over the last month was by far the biggest driver, because the Democrat who won, Abigail Spanberger, made them out to be victims. As governor, I will fight for you. What, is she going to reopen the government? Is she going to give them their contracts back? No, of course not. But she sounded like someone who was sympathetic to their plight. And that's what liberals want. That's what the left wants, is someone who validates their misery and their unhappiness. Winsome Sears was a good candidate, not the greatest candidate, but a good candidate. But she didn't play that game.
Yep.
She didn't coddle liberals and tell them they're victims. And they didn't want to hear that message.
What does it say that your state elected Jay Jones as Attorney General, even after the revelation that he apparently wants every Republican and their children dead?
Yeah, that's probably the most disheartening thing, is the number of people who said it should have been disqualifying, but they voted for the guy anyway. And remember, these are the people who have those annoying placards outside their house. Hate has no home here, or in this house we believe, or they're the ones who will tell you how good they are and how noble they are, and they will see right past it, without a doubt. And I got to tell you, Dan, I'm a little even torn on this one, because I did put on my Twitter account early this morning. I said, I got to hand it to our two Democrat senators, Tim Kaine and Mark Warner, institutional Democrats. They were confronted with Jay Jones's evil, vicious text messages, and they stood by the guy. They were like, yeah, I don't care. I want to win. I'm not going to repudiate him. I'm not calling him to drop out. They stood by the guy. Now, that's disgusting. But you counter that where they make up stuff about Donald Trump and run to Republicans, and Republicans flee as quickly as possible and say, how dare he? So you know what? I'll give the Democrats credit. Even in the face of murder, they stand by their guy.
Daniel Turner is the founder and executive director of Power the Future. And you have been a big proponent of what President Trump did in his first term and again in his second term, basically undoing all of what President Biden did that immediately spiked gas prices to their highest level ever. First time in American history in the summer of 2022, there was an average of $5 gasoline in all 50 states. I never thought I would see that. President Biden actually tapped into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try to get gas prices down ahead of the 2022 midterms. But we have actually seen gas prices hit near 20-year lows when adjusted for inflation. What is it that President Trump has done in this second term? Is it just a continuation of opening up American drilling, American exploration? What has been the reason for gas prices dropping and what feels like energy prices starting to come down for the first time in 4 years?
It really is market stability. And if you are in this space, you know that the oil and gas that is on the market today, the gas you are pumping in your car, if you're driving home from work and you're stopping for gas and listening to us, that gas was from a well that was drilled 6 to 7 years ago. That's how long the process takes. And so if you are in this industry and you want to drill and you need to get land access and you need to get permits and you need to get all the government regulations out of the way, it's years in the making. And when you had the Biden administration, sometimes they gave permits, most times they didn't. They didn't give reasons why they didn't give permits. There's supposed to be an auction every quarter. There was no auction on land. And when asked, the Interior Secretary said she used indigenous knowledge. No one knows what the hell indigenous knowledge means, but that was good enough for them to say, nope, there's no auction this month. And so all of that instability, it really depressed supply and it created a lot of future unease, and that resulted in the prices that we saw. Look at where we are now. The markets know, granted, we are producing record number of oil every day, but that's also because the markets know that everything is lined up for tomorrow. And that stability brings calm to the market and it brings lower prices.
And it also brings a level of prosperity that we were starting to see in the first Trump term. I mean, the start of 2020, we had just an unbelievable boom forming. Of course, COVID-19 and the overreaction and shutdown of pretty much everything sort of brought that to an end. But I think now we're starting to see the exact same thing. And this sort of proves that the more energy independent you are, the more of a net energy exporter that you are, the better you are as a country, right?
Yes. And I'm so glad you mentioned it was summer of 2022 when gas hit over $5 a gallon. And the reason why that's an important date is because it shows it took a year and a half for Biden's policies to be felt. But when they were felt, they were not easy to reverse. So people right now are looking at other prices. Yes, gas is down, no doubt, but people are like, food prices are still high. Yeah. And it's going to take a little while for those prices to be felt. You know, the beef that you're eating, if you're having a hamburger tonight, normally the steers that we process in America are between 35 and 40 months. So they were fattened on grain that was harvested at $7 and $50 a gallon diesel. That's the prices that you feel when you go buy beef right now. Are beef prices going to drop? Absolutely, because diesel right now is around $4.90 a gallon. But those are next year's steers, and that's next year's crops that have to be sowed. So it took Biden a while for his policies to be felt. It's going to take a little while for Trump's policies to be felt too.
It almost seems like what you're telling me, though, is that we're going to see some dramatic price reductions just in time for the midterms.
Yes, I think so, and that will be great news for the country and for families and for consumers. But it's also very good news for Republicans because we just finished up the harvest, right? It's November in America, but you're already planning to get ready for spring. If you're a farmer, I'm a sheep farmer, right? So I know how much hay I had to buy this year. I know the prices and the outlay that I have. The folks who are getting ready to plant in March, they know where diesel prices are going to be. They know where crop prices are going to be because the seeds that they're going to plant were harvested a couple of weeks ago at diesel at $4.90 a gallon, right? So it will trickle into the market. There's no doubt about it, but it takes a little time. And that's the fascinating thing about the energy industry. You can turn it off pretty darn quick, but to get it going again is going to take time. And unfortunately, these elections yesterday were only at month 11 of the second Trump term.
Daniel Turner is the founder and executive director of Power the Future. I think there is a lot of discussion about quite literally powering the future, and that is the strain on the electrical grid. I'm not sure if you're aware of what a big controversial issue the construction of data centers is here in Wisconsin, Daniel, but it is a big one. And you and I were talking a little bit off the air before this segment started. You have some very strong opinions on data centers. You love the technology, but you believe our electrical grid just isn't ready for the strain.
Yeah, and we put out a report that if I can give my organization a shout out, powerthefuture.com, we put out a report on data centers and on AI and what it means for the future electric grid. Clearly, I want to win this race. I don't want China to be the AI king of the world, but the infrastructure needs that we have are not in place. And that also leads to the 20 and 30% increase in electricity that we're seeing, because we need to produce so much more electricity than we are. The Biden administration shut down 100 coal plants nationwide. They replaced it with nothing. Right? They replaced it with promises of a greener tomorrow. Well, that didn't materialize. But what did materialize were these data centers that are being built left and right. When I drive to D.C. to testify before Congress or do whatever I do, I pass a third of our nation's data centers on my drive. Virginians know how expensive these have become to our grid. And I liken it to anyone who lives in kind of a suburban area, or where I live in farm country.
Yeah.
You know, there's an old farm that went on the market. Grandpa died. They sold it to a developer. The developer got permission from the county to put up 500 homes. County loves it. It's revenue for the county.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden there are 500 more cars on these little dirt roads, and there are 500 more families with kids in a 5-classroom schoolhouse. And everyone says, what the hell benefit do we have from all these houses? The county doesn't care. They don't care about the traffic they created. That's what data centers are doing to our electric grid. We're building them faster than the infrastructure is coming online.
What's the solution? I have heard small-scale nuclear reactors to power these things. What do you see the future? Because it's rather obvious that data centers are going to need to be built somewhere. Yes, I know Elon Musk said they could go on the moon, and that sounds like a pretty awesome idea, actually. But until we have that capability to do that, we are going to need massive amounts of data, and thus massive amounts of power. And I'm very sympathetic to the argument that if it's putting so much strain on the grid, it's going to be raising electricity prices, power prices for pretty much everybody in the area. I don't doubt the necessity of these, but how do we power them?
Yeah, I think the easiest and the quickest solution is the data centers have to be built where the power is. And there are parts of this country that produce so much natural gas that they literally flare it because there's too much to get into a pipeline. There's too much to get. Now, that seems like a crime, and it is. That shows the lack of infrastructure that we have. But I'm talking about even not far from Wisconsin and western Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm talking obviously about the Permian Basin on the Texas-New Mexico border, parts of Alaska, right? Data centers need a tremendous amount of electricity, and they need water.
Yeah.
So why do we build them where real estate is valuable? Build them where there are no populations, where there's no problem. You know, the North Slope of Alaska, which has probably more natural gas than most of the world, put all the data centers there. Yeah. They don't care it's negative 40 degrees. They're still pumping out the information that your computer wants.
That's actually an excellent idea. I am so glad, Daniel, that we had you on. Daniel Turner with Power the Future. Please say you will come on again. This is absolutely fascinating stuff. And, sir, I dare say that the great data center debate here in Wisconsin is not going to be over anytime soon. I'd love to have you back on the program.
Absolutely. We haven't even talked about Bill Gates and climate change. So that's another one for us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Real quick. Do you have a couple of minutes? Because Bill Gates suddenly reversing course and saying, yeah, climate change isn't going to kill us all. That seems like a pretty big deal, almost as big a deal as Greta Thunberg just sort of abandoning the climate cause for the Palestinians.
Yes, it was a huge deal. And I think the reason why I mention it is because I think it ties back to the data centers. If you are someone like Bill Gates, you have all the money you need. Money is no longer even sexy or exciting. But what is power. That's why he likes climate change, because you tell people what they can eat, how they're allowed to travel, what type of car they should drive, should eat the bugs, right? He's making these burgers that are made from carbon dioxide. That's power, and he loves it. AI is the ultimate power. It is the power to reform the human genome. It is the power to literally feed information to every person in the planet in real time. If he wants you to think a certain thing, that is power. The only thing stopping Bill Gates from having the ultimate AI power is the building of these data centers. And the slowness of these data centers is the very climate movement that is stopping us from opening up coal, building nuclear, natural gas pipelines. So that is why I think Bill Gates reversed course. He doesn't care about the climate. He wants the data.
I think you are absolutely correct, sir. Again, we do want you back. Daniel Turner, Power the Future. It was an absolute blast, sir. Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful evening.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show, coming back in just a couple of minutes.
Keep in touch with Dan on Twitter at Dan O'Donnell Show. More of the show is next.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford, Total Traffic Center.
Southbound 43 going to be slow from Good Hope to Bender. A break before you're tight again in pockets from Capitol to the Marquette. On to 4394 southbound, very slow down to Oklahoma. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop the Black Friday Now sale at Grand Appliance for Black Friday prices all month long on top brands like Frigidaire, Electrolux, and more. Visit grandappliance.com or your local Grand showroom for complete details. That's Grand Appliance, appliance expert since 1930.
I'm Ryan Harrison, owner of Ryan Waterproofing. Does it seem like storms travel hundreds of miles out of their way against prevailing winds to keep your basement damp, wet, moldy, even flooded? It isn't going to resolve itself. Freezing and thawing over time expands damage to walls, foundations, and even your family's health. That's not purified water seeping or running through your basement walls. It's filth, carrying every sort of bacteria, fungus, and mold. Only Ryan Waterproofing has an estimator project coordinator you'll love. Ashley's expert, honest, and will make you comfortable with the solutions proposed, and she'll be with you every step of the project. Doesn't matter how bad the cracks or sag in your basement walls are. Ryan has affordable sealant and water abatement solutions for most basements with convenient financing options, including 18 months, no interest financing. You actually might enjoy walking in the rain when it's not in your basement. Contact Ryan today, because praying for drought is overrated. Ryan Waterproofing. CallRyan.com. That's call RION.com. CallRyan.com.
Goodyear, Dunlop, Kelly, Continental, General, you name it, we got it.
Plus, free flat tire repair, free tire rotations, and more.
So when you're due for tire service, schedule it at richlands.com.
That's Rich Lawns with 2 N's.
Josh from Infinity here. The exterior remodeling industry is notorious for wild price disparities and hidden costs. Infinity has revolutionized the exterior remodeling experience. Our custom-built app is your window into our world of clear, accurate pricing.
MJ here. No more guesswork. No more unpleasant surprises. Every detail, all materials are clear for you to see. Absolute pricing transparency makes Infinity the most trusted roofing and exterior remodeling company in the Midwest.
We built Infinity on a foundation of integrity. More than installing roofs, siding, and windows, Infinity installs peace of mind, building lifelong relationships with our customers.
Infinity's proprietary app is an extension of our commitment, providing exact line item pricing, something unheard of in roofing and exterior remodeling.
Infinity's unmatched buying power saves you money. We pay less, you pay less. Infinity provides multiple budget options real time. Everything is at your fingertips, including financing options before we leave your home.
Warranted, guaranteed quality, installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
For more information information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN. Go to newstalk1130.com/rules. Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Our thanks again to Daniel Turner, guest provided to us by the Trump White House communications team. Always appreciate working with them. He was fantastic. I honestly, he was like, oh, we didn't even get to talk about this. I'm like, brother, we can talk as long as you want. You are insanely entertaining. We will definitely have him back as the debate over data centers heats up. PowerTheFuture.com is the website where you can find his organization's report. I was sort of talking over him, and I apologize for that. PowerTheFuture.com. They did a big in-depth look. This is a huge debate. There was just a Microsoft data center in, was it southern Milwaukee, northern Racine County in Caledonia that was just, it was Caledonia that was just turned away. The Microsoft just said, okay, we're not going to do this. There is a tremendous amount of public backlash. I understand how valuable these things are to an economy, to a tax base. I am also extremely sympathetic to the fact that A, they're sort of eyesores, B, they use a tremendous amount of power, and C, we don't really have the resources. People are focusing, I think, on the wrong thing, and that's water usage. It's electricity usage. You're not going to drain Lake Michigan. It was a dumb argument when the libs were making it with respect to the Foxconn development that never really came. Thank you very much, COVID-19 and Tony Evers. But it's also a dumb argument when conservatives are saying, well, they're going to drain Lake Michigan with these data centers and we don't want them. No, they're not. But what they are going to do is put a tremendous strain on the electrical grid. This is why it was such a big deal when you had right of first refusal being proposed in the last 2 legislative sessions, because the idea was that we would give cartel-like authority to the existing transmission companies to build out the electrical grid. This is a tremendous amount of power. It's a tremendous amount of money. And it also is going to cost a ton of money for government to do this. Well, why don't we allow out-of-state companies to come in, compete on price, compete on service, compete? Like, well, why are we giving the existing 3 electrical transmission companies cartel-like power? They understand that if we want Wisconsin to be one of the data center capitals of the United States, I think Turner makes a great point. Why don't we put these things where natural gas is literally being allowed to just get into the vapor because there's so much of it? Why are we putting these in residential locations, or at least exurban, rural location, places where people live? Why don't we put them in areas where nobody lives? Well, one of the reasons you can't put, he had said, well, we can just put them in the desert. No, you really can't, because these things need to be cool if they overheat. Otherwise, you're spending so much power on trying to keep them cool. They need to be cool because obviously, think about your own personal computer. You can't let it overheat. Well, it's the same basic thing with these data centers. It is a very important debate that we as humans are going to have. We need to, as Turner said, win the AI race with China and the rest of the world. President Trump has made that a commitment. It's sort of like the new space race. And I think ultimately it is going to have more practical applications, far more practical applications here on Earth than space exploration and the race to the moon. And this is not to diminish what we have learned. I believe we are advanced. We are enriched as a species by being interplanetary, by being it is what makes us human. Our desire to learn more about the universe around us, our desire to explore previously unknown areas of our world and even new worlds. I'm a big supporter in trying to get to Mars, in trying to develop as much as we can extraplanetary advancement. However, artificial intelligence is going to be the thing that very likely advances our species or potentially ends it. One of the two. Advancement, I think, is far more likely. No, I am not one of those who believes in the Matrix endgame or the Terminator style scenario where AI becomes sentient and hunts humans down for sport or plugs them in so to use their life force like batteries in the Matrix. I believe that AI is already revolutionizing industries. I was actually talking with my father today about how I use AI for research. I have to double check it constantly, but I am able to research things much quicker than I ever was before. I'm able to get data at my fingertips. How do you think I knew instantly about Bucks County, Pennsylvania's election results? Obviously, I had to double check to make sure that what Grok, X's AI, Elon Musk's AI, was telling me was correct. But I was able to use that instantly. As more and more people use AI, as it becomes more of a ubiquitous part of life, it needs to be powered by tremendous amounts of data and tremendous amounts of electricity. We are going to need, I think, a massive build out of our electrical grid. Whether natural gas is the answer, I happen to think small scale nuclear is probably going to be the winner in this game. It is the cleanest burning. It is the most efficient. And if we can get over our Chernobyl 3 Mile Island irrational fear of nuclear power, which is tremendously safe, I think it's going to be the thing that powers data centers. And I think it's going to be the thing that powers our future as we have an exponential demand for power, for everything in our lives. Okay, Republicans weren't content to simply let Jill Underly, the state superintendent, cover her you-know-what in her testimony yesterday and her press conference announcing new initiatives, which she said just weeks ago were far too expensive for her to implement. They are launching an audit into DPI's handling of teacher sex abuse complaints. We will dive into that when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
Southbound 43 going to be slow from Good Hope to Bender. A break before you're tight again in pockets from Capitol to the Marquette. On to 4394 southbound, very slow down to Oklahoma. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by First Choice Heating and Cooling. Beat the cold weather rush. Schedule First Choice's System Safety Tune-Up now. Complete inspection. Almost half off regular price. Same-day service available. 4.9 stars. Fully licensed. Call First Choice Heating and Cooling today.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
B97.3 has flipped the switch and is now Milwaukee's home for the holidays.
All your Christmas favorites all season long.
Oh, there's no place like home for the holiday. 'Cause no matter how far
Milwaukee's home for the holidays. B97.3.
You got to get to Built Right today. Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built Right's Black November deals, Veterans Day sale, and $1 million clearance sell-off are all on now. Shop where the O'Donnell family shops. 4 generations, 97 years strong. Now is the time to support Built Right, a locally and family-owned business since 1928. Built Right has the most experienced team and best selection of affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses mattresses. Be ready for your holiday guests with thousands of furniture and mattress items in stock, including living room, dining room, bedroom, sleeper sofas, lift chairs, recliners, and much, much more. 60 models of USA-made mattresses, including flippable and heavy-duty models. Gift certificates are available. Built Right always saves you money. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
I'm Dave Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring. Realtor.com says depending on location and a few other factors, new hardwood floors add as much as 2.5% to home sale value, even if you plan to sell. Enjoy home more now while increasing your sale price with Flawless's LVP, hardwood, or amazing, realistic, super wear-resistant modern laminate plank. Steamy wet dog and litter box aromas bother homeowners and buyers. But you say, Dave, we want the sound deadening and warmth underfoot of carpet? Our Delafield and New Berlin showrooms have countless style and combination flooring choices, including quality luxury carpet lines. Steamy stains and carpet stink, including pet fluids, wipe off Flawless Flooring's luxury vinyl plank and modern laminate plank, zero steam effortlessly. Our employee-only craftsmen meticulously refinish existing hardwood, even perfectly blending additional hardwood with existing. With Flawless's nothing down, zero interest financing, upgrade today and pay over 21 months. Sensory Underload, Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson. The Falls and New Berlin. Additives, chemicals, and toxins in your diet can miswire the way your genes express themselves. Food is critical for health. Increased energy, better sleep, reversing chronic disease. A healthier, happier, pain-free you is simple. Schedule your free Total Health consult. Holistic health coaches will guide you to a healthier, happier, truly you. Seed oils, the number one source of calories in American diets, were developed as fuel in industrial lubricants. Seed oils cause dozens of chronic illnesses. Big Healthcare's solution to nutritional-related illness is their same solution to all health-related problems. Drugs that also alter the way your genes express themselves, leaving root causes, making you increasingly sick over time. What they never tell is eliminate seed oils from your diet, and cutting back on sugar will immediately improve your health. It's true. Total Health finds root causes of sickness, including nutritional deficiencies, then helps you, the whole complete you, achieve wellness. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution. TotalHealthInc.com. That's TotalHealthInc.com.
It's 5 words no one wants to hear. You need a new roof. Oh boy, who do you call? How are you going to pay for it? Hi, it's Jay, and these are all questions that run through people's minds when they hear those 5 words. But if you pick up the phone and call Semperfi Roofing, your new roof will be the easiest, most hassle-free home improvement project you'll do. Semperfi has thousands of 5-star ratings for both customer service and high-quality installation. Plus, they offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. 50 years. Also, since no one wants to pay these high interest rates, for a limited time, Semperfi is offering 5-year no-interest financing with minimum monthly payments for qualified buyers. So if you need a new roof, don't stress. Semperfi Roofing has got your back. It all starts with a free 21-point roof inspection to assess the exact condition of your roof and what needs to be done next. Set up your inspection today. 262-600-2910. That's 600-2910. Or go online to SemperfiRoofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi. Injured? Call Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
The one extremely fluid and common factor when it comes to war is fear for both sides.
This Veterans Day, the Good Stuff podcast honors those who've served and the stories that remind us what strength really looks like.
Had over 50 operations and had 23 blood transfusions.
We're talking about resilience, purpose, and finding hope through community and connection.
There are blessings that will happen in the most unexpected places.
Open your free iHeartRadio app, search the Good Stuff podcast, and listen now.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Bipartisan group of lawmakers has ordered an audit over DPI teacher licensing amid a massive scandal involving teacher misconduct that absolutely was covered up by the Department of Public Instruction. The bipartisan audit committee has ordered a review into the process that DPI has for removing, suspending, or restricting educator licenses. From the Journal Sentinel, the audit comes as State Superintendent Jill Underly has received criticism for her department's handling of grooming and sexual misconduct allegations against licensed school staff. Legislative Audit Bureau will examine DPI's oversight of educator misconduct cases, including the quality of its investigations, the steps for revoking or suspending licenses, and whether the agency's policies follow state law. The audit will also review DPI staffing resources and investigator training. The 10-member audit committee unanimously approved the audit today, signaling concern from both Democrats and Republicans over DPI's handling of educator misconduct. Now, yesterday, before she testified before the Senate Education Committee, DPI head, State Superintendent Dr. Jill Underly said, well, we're going to enact these new steps that we are going to take. We are making big changes. One of them was putting up a database of teachers who voluntarily surrendered their licenses.
We are expanding transparency. The DPI already maintains a searchable public database showing the license status of every educator in Wisconsin, and the investigative materials are already public record. And we're taking this further by launching a new online resource that lists all the revoked and surrendered licenses available to any member of the public. To be clear, that information is already available, but we are putting it into another database so that it's just by itself. And we've heard feedback in this area about ways to make this information clearer and more useful, and we're exploring ways to include information about why a license was revoked or surrendered.
Okay, then why was it that spokespeople for, or a spokesperson for DPI, when Jill Underly refused to talk to the Capital Times reporter, or Cap Times reporter, who broke this story for the big bombshell article that first appeared online on October 15th, why were they saying that we didn't have the resources, we just don't have the money to be able to do this? State Senator Romaine Quinn, a Republican, asked this very pertinent question during the hearing yesterday.
So you're able to do this now with no additional funding, or how much will this cost? So it's like the whole Cap Times article. Yeah. It just seems like the department's constantly saying, well, we don't have the money, and they never gave us the money. And now 3 hours ago, you're saying we will do this. And so can you do it? Can't you do it?
We can. We are doing it because we believe in transparency. We want people to know that this is the highest priority for us, but it's adding on to additional work that people already do full time. So this is in addition to work we're already doing.
This, by the way, was the moment of that hearing where I think a whole lot of senators, both Democrats and Republicans, realized we needed an audit. She was saying, okay, well, we can put this stuff online. But before, she was saying, well, it's just going to cost too much. And Republicans in the legislature, they're just not giving us enough money. It's going to cost millions of dollars to do this. No, it's not. No, I said October 16th when we first discussed this. Money is not an issue. This is not a matter of combing through physical records, transcribing them, or somehow getting them online. This is very easy work. It wasn't done for reasons known only to God and Jill Underly and her DPI. I suspect it is to protect teachers because there is a fear, as she said during her testimony, well, sometimes these reports of grooming or sexual misconduct, sometimes those could be wrong. Sometimes they could be false. Sometimes kids could make it up. So much for believe all women, right? That doesn't extend to believe all 7-year-old girls who claim they're being inappropriately touched or groomed by their teachers. Every other licensing agency is able to do this. Why is DPI not? I suspect it's because they got massive pushback from the Wisconsin Teachers Union, WEAC, And I suspect it's because simply they agree with WEAC. Oh, yeah, this stuff shouldn't haunt some teacher for the rest of their life. The big issue, folks, is not necessary. I mean, it obviously is that we didn't know about just how many teachers were referred to DPI for misconduct in a 5-year period, and just the staggering number that were referred for sexual misconduct with students. But the biggest issue is that these teachers are able to simply make those investigations go away by voluntarily surrendering their teacher's licenses. That is a big, big problem. If this stuff doesn't rise to the level of criminal behavior, I also have very serious questions about just how many times the police were involved in these investigations. We have an unfortunate tendency in the education community to try to keep things in-house, to try not to get law enforcement involved, even when it should be. Oh, by the way, did you see the follow-up to my exclusive report on what happened at Bay Lane Elementary School from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel? Journal-Sentinel, without ever giving me credit, at least I did not see it on jsonline.com, had a follow-up. That gym teacher, the guy who was hired from Kelly Education to sub for a gym class at Bay Lane Elementary, has now been charged with 4th offense OWI. The cops brought him in after an art teacher raised concerns about this guy wandering through the halls looking for the gym he was supposed to be teaching kids in. And the cops picked him up, realized that he had driven drunk. I guess he must have admitted that he drove drunk, because if you find a guy drunk and you see his car there, you can't necessarily arrest him for drunk driving if he gives you some cockamamie story. Well, yeah, Steve, my buddy, dropped me off and walked home because my car is still there. You didn't see him driving unless they had the video or whatever it was. But he gets 4th offense drunk driving. In other words, the administration at Bay Lane Elementary did the exact right thing. They got the police involved because this is a matter for law enforcement. All too often, I fear, when there are very serious issues involving educators or members of an administrative staff or something like that, there's this tendency to sort of circle the wagon and say, okay, well, we'll refer this to DPI, we'll refer this to the school board, but we're not going to take that the step further and get the law involved. And if investigations are disappearing, if there's just no record of it because a teacher can say, okay, I'm out, stop the investigation into me, how do we ever get to the truth of whether kids were inappropriately touched or groomed or something horrible happened to these kids? This is a massive scandal, and I'm glad to see there is going to be a full audit of what it was DPI was doing. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is a tour de force of truth.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
In Waukesha County, traveling eastbound on 94 at Maple, you got an accident off to the right shoulder. East of there, Moreland Road to the Marquette Interchange, taking 25 minutes, especially heavy through the roadwork between the Zoo and Hawley. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop the Black Friday Now sale at Grand Appliance for Black Friday prices all month long on top brands like Frigidaire, Electrolux, and more. Visit grandappliance.com or your local Grand showroom for complete details. That's Grand Appliance, appliance expert since 1930.
At Ross Dental, your journey to smiling like you just don't care because you don't isn't paved with anxiety, discomfort, or judgment. People should be judged by the content of their character, not the straightness, color, or condition of their smile. No matter how much restoration required, Ross Dental's gentle, caring staff won't judge you. Ross Dental does cutting-edge laser dentistry, maximizing patient comfort and health. Laser removal of tooth decay requires 0 shots. For almost everyone, it's painless. Procedures are faster. No numb mouth, 0 shots. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com. Lasers don't churn up infected tissue. They kill bacteria, fungus, even viruses, dramatically reducing infection-spreading bioaerosols old technology drills cause. Laser dentistry is ideal for cavity treatment, and less collateral tissue damage treating gum disease or canker sores speeds up recovery. Ross Dental's convenient payment options, low, even no radiation imagery, and sedation dentistry eliminate every reason to neglect your teeth. Schedule your cleaning or cosmetic assessment today, and soon you'll Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com.
Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer can give you a cash offer for your home in just 5 minutes, no matter its condition, because selling your home should not be complicated. Visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com, pick your closing date, and the rest is simple. That's MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com.
At Advent, nasal congestion and sinus infections can be solved with an in-office 20-minute procedure. Elsewhere, expect surgery.
Jason, what are you singing? Working on a new jingle to promote Capital's $49 drain clearing. When your sink fills up with gunk, don't stress, don't whine. It's only $49. Don't take this the wrong way, man, but I'd stick to plumbing, heating, and cooling if I were you. That's fair, but people need to know that we clear clogs for only $49. Fine, but I would have rhymed gunk with junk. It's so obvious.
Call CapitalCares.com. Welcome to This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, it appears we have some significant steps towards peace in the trade war with China. Earnings season very strong. Of course, the federal government is still shut down, but we have plenty of reasons for optimism all heading into the end of the year, Dave.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You talk about the truce on tariffs with China, at least for the time being. And as you point out, earnings season has been really good, especially for the Mag 7. Put that on top of the fact that the Fed has cut rates and began to get away from quantitative tightening. All of this leads us into the last part of the year, where taxes and the tax stimulus is in play and the market is at all-time highs. When this happens, Dan, you get what's called the wealth effect. And then people's accounts are up, their 401k plans are up, and they start to go out and spend. That's setting us up for a good first quarter in 2026. But more importantly, is your portfolio set up for the rest of the year and going into 2026? Have you taken advantage of all of the new tax laws in front of you? You should act now to get your portfolio in place for 2026.
And the best way to do that is to head to AnnexWealth.com to work with a professional who's working with and for you as a fee-only fiduciary. They'll help you through the tax stuff. They'll help you through long-term and short-term planning for your family's financial future. And they do it all as a fee-only fiduciary. That means they are not looking to sell you a product. They're looking out for you. Once again, it is a review of your portfolio available for free at AnnexWealth.com. For Dave Spano, the CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Statewide. For many of us, the most important part of our routine between 6 and 9 weekday mornings is to listen to every minute of the Jay Weber Show on WISN. Sadly, sometimes less important elements of our lives get in the way, such as work, children, and bathing. Don't despair. The Jay Weber Show podcast is available 24/7 to fill any gaps in your hunger for entertainment. Just go to newstalk1130.com, click the podcast tab, and enjoy Jay Weber on demand.
Just to put a bow on our election discussion, the analysis of what happened last night and what it means for 2026, where Republicans go from here, it is absolutely got to be about embracing President Trump's policies of America First. That is the MAGA movement. That is the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again. That is about a version of populism that the dark side of that exact same coin won big in New York City and threatens to win big across the country if conservatives don't recognize and Republicans don't recognize that we cannot be fighting the battles of 20 years ago, the war on terror and foreign adventurism, that the only battle that people care about in this country is this country. It is the battle for the soul of this country, and it is fought with bread and butter economic issues. It is fought with issues that people care about. Keeping men out of women's locker rooms is a big one. Is that going to be a big deal next year? Maybe. But I can tell you, if on policy, Republicans don't work to get prices down for Americans, Democrats are going to be able to say, look, all of Trump's promises came up short. Never mind the fact that the stock market has just taken off. Real wages have grown. Inflation has slowed to a halt. We're even seeing deflation in some basic necessity items. We are seeing gas prices at adjusted for inflation near 20-year lows. I mean, by every objective measure on foreign policy, President Trump has delivered over and over and over again. 6 major peace deals this term to add to the Abraham Accords from his first term. I mean, he has been a very consequential president, but he's not going to be on the ballot anymore. And the reality is that we have an entire voter base now that is entirely too dependent on Trump being on the ballot in order to win. We build coalitions sort of cobbled together of non-traditional voters, of non-regular voters. And a lot of those voters are only Trump. Remember how in 2016 we were fretting about the never Trump voter, and we were saying, "Oh my gosh, we've got to make overtures to the never Trump committee." Okay, our issue now is the only Trump, the never Trump community. They're Democrats. Bill Kristol is a Democrat. Bill Kristol voted for Zohran Mamdani. Okay, that does not sound like someone who is conserving conservatism. Here in Wisconsin, Charlie Sykes is a liberal Democrat now. He is voting for Democrats. The never Trumpers are gone. They have been gone for quite some time. The issue now that we have are low and mid propensity voters that maybe once were Democrats, but now need to be persuaded to vote in things that are not a presidential election. I do worry that Republicans are going to suffer the same fate that Democrats did during and after the Obama years. Do you realize that Democrats lost hundreds of seats at the congressional level, at the state house level, mayorships, governorships? They lost everywhere, primarily in those off-year elections and midterm elections in 2010 and 2014. The Obama era was disastrous for Democrats, and I don't want the same thing to happen to Republicans. We always joked about Democrats sort of becoming a cult of personality around Barack Obama. Well, seems like a whole lot of our voters are only turning out for President Trump. You have to convince them that the rest of the Republican Party is working for them, just like Trump is. So far in Wisconsin, in a couple of Supreme Court elections over the last couple of years, we were not able to do that. We were not able to do that in 2022 with our gubernatorial candidate, Tim Michels. I believe Tom Tiffany is a stronger candidate than Michels is. Yes, Showman still has an outside shot of getting the nomination, but it certainly looks like Democrats are preparing for Tom Tiffany. It's back to basics. It is back to economics. It is back to making people's lives better here in Wisconsin and across the country. All right, quick programming note. I am going to be off tomorrow, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. We are taking our 2025 Dan O'Donnell European getaway to Rome. We're taking a bunch of listeners. It is going to be a wonderful trip. We have got a couple of great fill-in hosts for you. Who are they? I know Jessica's filling in once. Jason Goach, is that how you pronounce his last name? Yeah, he's a brand new fill-in. Check him out tomorrow afternoon. We are also going to have Matt Kittle, I believe, on next week. And have no fear, I will be back on Wednesday afternoon, probably super jet-lagged, but back on Wednesday afternoon. Have a great evening, Wisconsin. We'll talk to you again in a week. This has been the Dan O'Donnell Show.